6 teams from the East had aspirations of a Conference USA crown at season's beginning. Now, as the leaves have fallen, so have many of the contenders. Yet 2 remain in the race towards the title game. Marshall, unmerciful at home, hits the road, where the results have been quite the opposite. Especially in East Carolina, where the Pirates have dominated this season and the series. First place in the East is on the line between the 2 teams who have survived the season thus far. In Greenville, North Carolina, a sellout crowd of over 40,000 await a critical Conference USA matchup between the Marshall Thundering Herd and the East Carolina Pirates. The Pirates ready to take the home field at Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium. And from Huntington, West Virginia, the Marshall Thundering Herd. I'm Carter Blackburn. For both of these teams, Marshall and East Carolina, it's been kind of up and down seasons. The Pirates had the big high-profile wins at the beginning of the year against West Virginia and Virginia Tech. Both of these teams have endured 3-game losing streaks, but the bottom line is with 4 games left in the season, they are atop the Conference USA Eastern Division standings, both at 3-1 in conference play, which makes this a critical Conference USA matchup between the Pirates and the Thundering Herd. Aaron Taylor joins me. You look at Marshall's season, Aaron, it's pretty easy to figure out. They just haven't played well on the road.
Well, I tell you what, Carter, they really haven't. You got to remember, football players are creatures of habit. There's just so much more to manage on the road, and Marshall early on hadn't done a good job of it. At home, the Thundering Herd are 3-1. On the road, just 1-3. Had the big loss early against Wisconsin, and then lost later on in week 5 with the West Virginia, and then to a lowly UAB team, Carter. So to win on the road, you must bring your defense, you must protect the football, and you have to get the ball into your playmakers' hands. Marshall has those playmakers. Sophomore running back Darius Marshall, the leading rusher from a year ago, has done a great job running the football, over 100 yards last week, averaging 7 yards a carry. And then senior Darius Passmore, the tall, rangy receiver, averages 17 yards a catch, so he can certainly stretch the field.
Well, while Marshall has struggled on the road, East Carolina has been really good at home. You count that Charlotte win over Virginia Tech at the beginning of the season, and the Pirates 3-1 in their home games.
Well, they love playing at home, and for good reason, Carter. In fact, they've won 4 of their last 5 versus their home opponents in the Conference USA. They do a tremendous job here at Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium. ECU, a very good team. Creatures of habit doing a great job, but the explosion of Norman Whitley last week had a breakout game. He's small and shifty, but he does a good job of getting to the second level, breaking tackles, and making people miss. ECU would love another huge game out of Whitley to take some pressure off of a passing game that's been inconsistent at times.
He's certainly a key player in the game, and now Aaron guides us through the progressive keys to the game.
Well, Carter, for Marshall Thundering Herd, Confucius say a balanced offense is the key to happiness, and it'll also keep them out of predictable situations and make ECU defend the entire field. And then defensively, they've got to disrupt the quarterbacks to get ECU's offense out of its rhythm. That means pressure, blitzes, disguising coverages, timing the snap count. Then ECU, offensively, they've got to play consistent at quarterback. Pinckney and Cass must perform. Both quarterbacks are going to play tonight. They both look good, but they've also been inconsistent at times. And then finally, the battle of the bulge. The strength of ECU's defense is their physical, aggressive defensive line, so they must win their matchup in the passing game and keep those guys on the offensive line when they're trying to zone block.
Marshall has never won here in Greenville, North Carolina. However, last year in 2007 in Huntington, West Virginia, the Thundering Herd knocked East Carolina out of a possible chance of the Conference USA East Division a season ago. So in 2008, they meet again. Both teams atop the standings in Conference USA's Eastern Division. Craig Ratanamorn will kick it away. Harris and TJ Lee back deep to receive, and the wind blows it off the tee. And sure enough, we had some rain showers here in Greenville, North Carolina, but they have quickly blown through, and it is a gorgeous day in the eastern half of the Tar Heel State.
It certainly is, Carter. This is what fall football is all about. The leaves are turning. You got a nice crisp breeze here for North Carolina. The sun is shining, and we have a huge game in the East for the Conference USA Division.
Marshall and East Carolina underway from a sold-out Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium. Dwayne Harris brings it out of the end zone and has room to run. Dwayne Harris across the 35, dragging a pile of Marshall special teams defenders all the way to the 44. So the East Carolina offense will be out first. The quarterback rotation continues. It will be the senior Patrick Pinckney who begins the day at quarterback for East Carolina.
Well, Carter, the key for Pinckney today is going to be able to get into a flow and into a rhythm. He has a tendency to start games big and then drop off as the game goes along. They have to be able to get him success early on in this ball game.
They want to get Dwayne Harris the football. He's at the bottom of the screen. Handing off on first down. Whitley breaks it back. Whitley slips through a tackle and turns a negative into a +7 on first down. Whitley will be the featured back in Todd Fitch's East Carolina offense. The group up front gave up 6 sacks versus UCF. You now have Terrence Campbell starting at left guard because of an injury to Stanley Bryant. Norman Whitley, 134 yards rushing versus UCF. The tight end, Devon Drew, maybe the biggest threat in the passing game.
He's certainly a big target and a safety valve for a quarterback that struggles. Look for Pinckney to look for him throughout the day.
Call this 2nd down and 2. Whitley gets it again. This time they're sitting on it. Michael Janik makes the stop to force 3rd down. The Marshall defensive unit, Rick Minter's 4-3 defense. The ends have played well. Michael Janik and Albert McClellan on the edges for Marshall. Linebackers, Maurice Kitchens is the Conference USA Defensive Player of the Week after a great effort versus Houston last Tuesday. In the secondary, free safety C.J. Spillman back from a hand injury. 3rd down and short for East Carolina. Pinckney out of the shotgun, high snap, he holds it in, keeps it, and is stopped short. And this is what Skip Holtz talked about in the last performance against UCF when his team went 1 of 8 on 3rd down in the first half. He says we absolutely have to be able to convert 3rd down and short.
And that was a 3rd down and short, and those are the ones you have to get to be able to move the ball. This can really help a defense out as well. When your defense is going to be on the field and Marshall has a propensity to be able to run the football, you have to be able to let your guys rest. I know it's early. Sometimes you get jitters offensively, but ECU needs to come to the sideline, relax a little bit, start calling up some plays and moving the football.
There's a flag because Spann had called for the fair catch. Emmanuel Spann called for the fair catch, and an East Carolina defender hit him anyways. So this should be a 15-yarder.
Well, Carter, there's certainly no love lost between these two teams. This is a bitter rivalry, and not necessarily that these guys hate each other, but they know what's going on in this game and what this game entails. I would expect a very physical football game, and sometimes when you see that, you'll see personal foul penalties.
Kick catch, interference, number 24, kicking team, 15 yards, spot a foul, first down.
Right here you see him waving his hand for the fair catch. He makes it right there. Just a bonehead play coming on and getting the penalty. And Emmanuel Davis, the young freshman, done such a good job last week playing defensive back. Keep your eye on him. He's a good player, but made a mistake there early, given advantageous field position to the Herd.
Both teams who started off with good field position. East Carolina didn't do much with it. Chubb Small on the first down carry with the handoff from Mark Cand, the redshirt freshman. Mark Snyder telling us earlier this week, yeah, he's a freshman. We started the year with him managing the game. Now we want him to make plays.
Well, a lot of times a young quarterback will come in and not necessarily want to lose the ball game, so be conservative. He's thrown 10 touchdowns and had 8 interceptions, but at some point you're going to need your quarterback to be a little bit more confident, take some more shots downfield, and that's very tough for a young player who may not be comfortable in his first year playing.
Motion on the line. Looked like Jay Ross jumped. It is a big group up front for East Carolina defensively.
They got some
encroachment, contact, defense, number 90, 5-yard penalty, second down.
Tough task for this Marshall offense. The group up front led by Brian Leggett. He's the center. A couple of freshmen at tackle for Marshall. In the backfield, Darius Marshall, as Aaron told us all about, and Darius Passmore, who will catch and run.
What a great football name, Darius Passmore. How apropos, it's like me having Aaron Sandwich.
Aaron Blockmore. Play action on second down and short. Lots of time for Cand to throw. Looking for Passmore. It's easily intercepted. Emmanuel Davis, who had the key interception in the win last Sunday versus UCF, now has his 3rd interception of his redshirt freshman year. This is his first career start, and Emmanuel Davis makes the most of it.
Well, we talked to defensive coordinator Greg Hudson, who does such a great job for this Pirate defense, and he talked about how impressed he was with Emmanuel Davis.
Davis made the big play to get the win over UCF, and on the first drive against Marshall, another INT. College football on CBS College Sports is brought to you by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. By Bud Light, endless refreshment from start to finish. Bud Light keeps it coming. And by the Home Depot, you can do it. We can help. Petey the Pirate overseeing Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium in the spirit of Blackbeard. Let's go back to that interception on the ball thrown by Cand to Passmore.
Passmore does a great job of running the route, gets inside. It's just a poorly thrown ball and a poor decision, allowing Emmanuel Davis to come underneath. This young man has a good nose for the football. He was a tailback and safety in high school, but he's done a pretty good job in the secondary now, making plays, especially for a freshman.
ECU offense starts from the Marshall side of the football after the good run back there by Davis after the interception. So 1st and 10 from the Marshall 49. It is Patrick Pinckney out for the second series. Toss sweep to Norman Whitley. You go back to last week against UCF. This is what Emmanuel Davis did to virtually seal that win. In the top of the first overtime last Sunday, Davis picking up UCF quarterback Rob Calabrese. So he has made 2 big picks for his teams from a Sunday to 6 days later on Saturday.
And he also did a good job causing the fumble that set that up last week as well. The young man has a nose for the football and proven to be a playmaker already.
Well, we know what East Carolina wants to do from the early play calling from Todd Fitch, trying to establish the run against Marshall.
And right now they had some early success on with some missed tackles, but going up inside, Marshall's defense is pretty strong and big up inside and doing a good job right now of stopping that run game of ECU, bringing up another one of those critical 3rd down plays that we talked about, Carter, but this one not so short.
Well, the Pirates failed to convert on 3rd and short on the opening drive. This is their second possession, faced with 3rd down and 6. Freeney goes in motion. Patrick Pinckney out of the shotgun with pressure coming, trying to set up the screen. The pass is caught for a minimal gain. Brandon Simmons on the high throw from Pinckney, able to haul it in, but yet again 3 and out for East Carolina.
Yeah, and that's what defensive coordinator for the Herd, Rick Minter, likes to do, is bring pressure. That time he brought pressure off the edge right in Pinckney's face, kind of forced the throw to be a little bit high, trying to get the ball to the receiver out on the flat. Didn't work there. Credit Minter being aggressive early, forcing another 3 and out in the punt for ECU's offense.
Low punt. Spann comes up to field it at the 17. This time, no Pirate there to pop him after the fair catch. You know, from 1983 to 2007, Petey had the same uniform. He's got the new digs today.
Where will tomorrow take you? Will it make you stronger? Will you be inspired? Will you discover something new? Will you discover something timeless? Will you help someone learn? Will you help someone live? Wherever tomorrow may lead you, it starts here.
Conference USA, home to talented student athletes from 12 great universities. Every year, the competition within CUSA gets tougher and the rivalries get more intense.
Is this looking like a rivalry game now?
It's good! Passes on the money! This is our house. Conference USA. Rivalries live here.
East Carolina and Marshall forever linked because of the events of November 14th, 1970, when the Marshall football team traveling back from Greenville, North Carolina. Southern Airlines, a charter jet carrying the Marshall team, coaches, and fans, crashed on approach back into Huntington, West Virginia. All 75 people on board were killed. This is the plaque outside of where the visiting team runs on the field here at Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium, commemorating that day and remembering that 1970 Marshall team that left here in Greenville, North Carolina. And the plane crashed on its return to Huntington, West Virginia. So today, Mark Snyder led his team onto the field here at Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium past that plaque, which commemorates that day on November 14th, 1970. And of course, the movie We Are Marshall, which a lot of folks have seen, tells the story of Jack Lingle bringing that program back when they made the decision to continue on with the football program. We take a look at the East Carolina defensive starters now. Greg Hudson's 4-3 defense. Linville Joseph, the biggest of a cumbrous group up front. Pierre Bell, weak side linebacker, off a 9-tackle day versus UCF. Van Eskridge actually leads the team in tackles from free safety, plus he has 2 INTs. This is 2nd down and 8 for Marshall from the 20. Can throwing and completing to Cody Slate. Flag comes in after the play.
Good job of pitch and catch, throwing to Cody Slate, the 2nd leading receiver, and big target as a tight end. It's a good way to get the confidence back for a quarterback to do an interception on the first series.
Personal foul, face mask, 23, defense, 15 yards from the end of the run, automatic, first down.
Well, we talked about it, Carter. Sometimes in these physical football games, players get excited. You can't afford to have penalties and face masks like that. Remember, this year the rule was changed. It's an automatic 15 yards. Again, ECU's defense making a mistake, giving up unnecessary field position.
3 penalties now against East Carolina. 2 of them have been 15 yards. 1st and 10 for the Herd from the 39. Chubb Small gets the first down handoff and picks up about 3.
Good job by that big ECU defensive line, eating people up. Marshall's offense likes to run the zone play. That means they do a lot of combination blocks up front. You get offensive linemen starting off on a double team on a down lineman, working their way up to a linebacker. Right there, the ECU front did a good job of eating 2 people up, allowing the linebackers to come up and get a short gain on first down.
A 4-wide look for the Herd on 2nd down. So the safety's back up for East Carolina, setting up the screen, bobbled and dropped by Cody Slate. So you see the rarely seen tight end bubble screen, but that's kind of how both of these teams will use their tight ends.
Well, you see early on Marshall trying to get the ball to Cody Slate. He's definitely a playmaker, averaging 13 yards per catch, so he's a good person to get the ball into the hands. But ECU's done a good job of sniffing that one out.
On the road, Marshall has struggled offensively. Look at left side what they do in Huntington, right side on average on the road, where they won just once. That was a win at Southern Miss.
You got to notice, Carter, the rushing yards for Marshall, that's the biggest difference. For whatever reason, they struggle running the ball, and it's a big interception again by Emmanuel Davis.
Guess who? Emmanuel Davis picks it off on 3rd down and 7. 2 drives for Marshall, both have ended in picks by the redshirt freshman Emmanuel Davis in the first start of his East Carolina career.
I tell you what, Carter, if you took the last 2 minutes of last week's game and the first 3 or 4 minutes from this week's game, that's a highlight film for an entire year. Emmanuel Davis doing a good job of reading and reacting, breaking on the football, just doing a great job, covered out on the edge against Darius Passmore, not playing like a freshman at all. When you get corner play like that, that gives you a lot of freedom and flexibility, so look for Greg Hudson to take advantage of that defensively.
Now we'll see if the Pirates can move the football. 3 and out on the first couple of possessions. Aaron Johnson showing blitz, pressuring Pinckney, and sacking Patrick Pinckney. Aaron Johnson, the strong safety, coming all the way on the blitz.
Did a good job on the backside. The previous series, they brought a blitz to Pinckney's face. This time, they bring a blitz from the backside. Rick Minter likes to bring pressure. It's play action, something that ECU struggled with last week. They gave up 6 passes on play action passes. You see Pinckney right before this turned his back to the offensive line or to the defense. He wasn't able to see the pressure coming. They've got to change that and get rid of that ball quicker if they're going to run play action like that.
You saw in the starting lineup that Terrence Campbell takes over at left tackle because Stanley Bryant's out. And that is exactly where Marshall is trying to attack the East Carolina offense. This time able to run right past that pressure, Norman Whitley.
Good way to take pressure off the defense and keep them from blitzing is to beat the blitz, and you can do that with draws and big plays up top. Maybe ECU was trying to do that with the play action pass, ended up giving them a sack, but here again, we're in 3rd down. ECU, from a confidence standpoint, has to be able to convert this. This will be their 3rd 3 and out if they do not convert here.
Called it 3rd down and 3 with a 4 wide look. Pinckney throws, it's caught by Devon Drew, and there is the first 3rd down conversion and the first down of the game for East Carolina midway through the first quarter.
Good job of getting rid of the ball quickly. Pinckney does a good job of setting his feet, throwing, putting the ball right on the money. Devon Drew does a good job of reaching out and getting the first down. You see that the offensive line did a good job of chopping down Marshall's defensive line. Something they've done very good is batting a lot of balls. Right there, it didn't work. ECU moves the chains.
And you see what Devon Drew can do in that passing game when East Carolina is able to get him the football. Pinckney on the rollout, looking to the end zone, passes out of bounds, incomplete. Some good sportsmanship there from Aaron Johnson, helping up ECU cheerleader he knocked over.
Well, a lot of times when teams like to blitz, they'll take Pinckney out and roll around, but Marshall doing a good job of showing up, and Maurice Kitchens, the playmaker for that Marshall Herd defense, does such a good job. The team's leading tackler, he finds a way to make his presence known, just like he did that time, getting to the quarterback.
Made it known versus Houston last Tuesday. An 80-yard fumble recovery, had an interception. That's why he's the conference defensive player of the week. 2nd and 10, the pocket collapsing, so Whitley, the check down in the flat. He takes a hit and just keeps on rolling. We check out our icy hot injury report, and this is what we told you about. The left tackle, Stanley Bryant, really the leader of the offensive line, injured his knee for the 2nd time this season versus UCF. They expect him to be out about a month.
Yeah, what that injury did is it meant that a lot of people had to come in and fill in for him. DJ Scott went to right tackle. Terrence Campbell moved over to left tackle, and a lot of times the offensive line is the only position in football where you really have to play next to the guy next to you, so moving positions can cause disruption, and it's hurt ECU throughout the year.
Hand off to Whitley on 3rd down and 2, and he picks up those tough yards to move the chains again as the Pirates take it into the red zone, where they have been outstanding in 2008.
They've done a very good job in the red zone. In fact, they're 90% when they cross the 20-yard line. They find a way to punch it in, and 2/3 of the time they find a way to get a touchdown. This would be a much-needed score because Marshall's defense does a good job early on, only allowing an average of 3 points in the first quarter.
J.R. Rodgers in at tailback. Pinckney fakes it to him and keeps it himself for a 9-yard gain on first down.
This was a great play fake. Pinckney called his own number here, fakes the ride. It's just a zone draw, goes up inside. Great job by Patrick Pinckney moving the chains and moving the football. They seem to be in a rhythm now, Carter, and this is exactly what ECU needs. That big conversion to Devon Drew on third down was what sparked this drive.
On the heck of a fake by Patrick Pinckney. Second down and short, Whitley back in at tailback. He does take it on second down and gets a couple of yards to the 5. So after the Pirates went 3 and out on the first couple of possessions, you see the sustained drive, and it's mostly been on the ground, just that one big completion to Drew.
And the person that this is helping the most is Patrick Pinckney. You have to be able to get a quarterback into a flow and be positive and have some confidence early on. That's been the thing that he struggled with. When he hasn't played well early, it's just gotten worse. But when he can come out, establish a rhythm like he's doing on this drive, he's a tremendous football player.
9th play of the drive is a handoff to Whitley, who's dropped short of the end zone. Daquan Bembry comes in to make the stop. Rob Cass is on the sidelines right now for East Carolina as Patrick Pinckney tries to lead the touchdown drive, and there it is. Norman Whitley, flag on the play as Whitley dances into the end zone.
ECU on that, employing the hurry-up offense. They get right back to the line of scrimmage and tried to catch Marshall sleeping, and it appears to work. We'll have to see what this penalty is.
If it stands, it would be the 4th rushing touchdown for Norman Whitley. The sophomore began the year as a 4th-string running back.
Crackback block, number 81 offense. 15-yard penalty from the line of scrimmage. Repeat, second down.
That has to be a chop block call.
It's a critical penalty early on. You see the clip coming in right here from the side. Right here, you have to be able to keep your body up in front. It looked to be a pretty good block to me because his head was in front of the defender. I don't know about that call, Carter. That looked to be a pretty legal play to me.
So wipe out the touchdown and moving East Carolina all the way back to the 17 for second down and goal from the 17. Pinckney from the shotgun, trying to set up a screen. The pass is incomplete, intended for Whitley.
These are the drive killers. These are the things you hate. It was a touchdown that they had, but unfortunately there was a penalty called. But now ECU is on the 17-yard line looking to get in. Had they scored that touchdown, that would have been their first quarter touchdown. They hadn't scored one in the last 6 games, so this is a big drive in the red zone for ECU, not only from a point standpoint, but from a confidence standpoint.
And by the way, there's no such thing as a crackback block penalty. That had to have been a chop block. Brandon Simmons hit hard as he gets to the 15. Nice hit there from Mario Harvey.
Mario Harvey does a good job being a sack master for these guys. Got 4.5 on the year and looks to be a pretty good run stopper on that play. Good linebackers do that. They sniff out where the football is and force a third down. And again, that critical penalty. ECU hurting themselves on both sides of the football right now with penalties and having to settle for a field goal when they work so hard to cross the goal line and punch one in.
Hardman from 32. We saw him in warm-ups, missed from 35. This is good. So instead of 6 on the board for a touchdown, East Carolina settles for a 32-yard field goal from Ben Hartman. But it's the Pirates on top first, 3-0. East Carolina has a touchdown wiped out on a penalty, settling with a field goal from Ben Hartman. As we check out our Bud Light Stats 6-pack, the first 5 numbers will be season numbers for Marshall and East Carolina. The last, the total yards today. And when you see the passing yards for East Carolina, you'll understand why Skip Holt says we have to get more of a passing game. We have to be better in the passing game. Same could probably be said for both of these teams.
Yeah, there's no question, Carter. When you look at these teams, they're pretty strikingly similar. statistically, but you cannot be an effective offense if you're one-dimensional, and certainly ECU can run the football, but they have to be able to take shots downfield and throw the football. That means getting the ball to Dwayne Harris, and hey, they have to protect. They ran a play-action pass. They tried to take a shot up top, but they didn't protect, and play-action passing is very hard for offensive linemen to do because it requires you to be physical on the initial onset of the play and then settle back down in passing. It's kind of a hard thing to do to be able to hold, and right now ECU didn't do a good job of it last week, and early on in this game they're not doing a good job of it as well.
East Carolina goes 3 and out on the first couple of possessions, and then a 12-play field goal drive. Chance for a big return here. Darius Marshall brings it all the way to the 50-yard line. A 46-yard return for Darius Marshall.
Carter, they were very lucky. Watch the middle of the screen. This field just opens up. He's one-on-one with the kicker, makes a miss, and does a good job of getting out. ECU was able to fall back inside and give him some help, but this was very close to going out of the gate. Very good field position for the Herd midway towards the end of the first quarter.
Marshall's only 2 drives have both ended in interceptions, both from Emmanuel Davis. He's locked in with Darius Passmore now on first down. It's Darius Marshall who bounces it to the outside with his stiff arm. Darius Marshall finally shoved out at the 28. A 22-yard pickup for the sophomore Darius Marshall.
This is a great job of just being a belly zone. It starts out one way to the left, and he cuts it back off to his left. Breaking tackles, lots of missed tackles and bad angles by this ECU defense, and that's what Darius Marshall in this running game of the Herd can do. They run a lot of zones and create misdirection and force defenses to stay in their lanes and tackle well, and right there on that last play, ECU didn't do it.
That's just the second first down of the game for Marshall, and it comes on that big run from Darius Marshall. The racehorse package is Darius Passmore. Lines up at QB and takes it for about 3 yards. That's what Marshall calls it, not the wild hog or the wild cat, the wild rebel. They call it the racehorse.
Well, that's what they like to do when they bring their best playmaker, Darius Passmore, into the backfield, direct snap the ball to him, gives them a lot of options. They can do the speed sweep to the outside. It forces the defense to protect the entire field. They have to take the speed sweep to the outside or plays like we saw right there, back up the middle. Good 4-yard gain on first down.
Back to a conventional horse on second down as Cannon tosses. Chubb Small takes a huge pop from Van Eskridge, the free safety, but it's after Chubb Small picks up the first down. Let's listen to it.
Woo! Van Eskridge is the leading tackler on this team, and that's why he comes up and brings the wood. Yesterday, Coach Holtz was talking about Van Eskridge would be a good player as long as he learned to be physical. I think he figured it out on that play.
Usually you don't want your free safety to be the leading tackler, but he can come up and make plays in the run game.
I think they're okay with it if he can play like that.
Pirates show pressure on first down now that Marshall crosses into the red zone. With the play clock winding down, Can just does get it off. Darius Marshall hammered as soon as he gets it. Forward progress has him down right around the line of scrimmage. Pierre Bell leads the charge.
Great job by that ECU defense up front, doing a good job of being able to take the line of scrimmage and control it up front. You see what they're trying to do, run out of the gate, but good job by the defensive line of eating up blockers and doing a good job of winning that battle up front. That was one of the keys that we talked about. This is going to be a physical game, and right there on that play and on this drive, ECU's defense starting to make plays where early on they got gassed, Carter.
Give credit to Zach Slate, too, for blowing that up from his in position. Second down and 10. Darius Marshall stood up and driven back again. This time it's Linval Joseph, the big sophomore from Florida, who's a little less big than he was at the end of his freshman year. He dropped 72 pounds.
That's pretty impressive, and I think it's a testament to Linval Joseph and what he's done. Who knows whether it's Weight Watchers or Nutrisystem or probably just running and doing some extra cardiovascular, but it makes him a better player because he's in better shape, and it showed right there on that last play what being in good shape allows him to do.
I think he called Jenny. This is 3rd down and 9 inside the East Carolina 20. Can on the rollout, looking for Slate. Now Can's going to tuck it and be shoved out at the 15. Late hit coming. Dakota Marshall got Can right as he was stepping out of bounds. If it's what we think it is, that's automatic first down.
This would be a terrible call that would hurt this ECU defense. Something that would be a shame. They've done such a good job in this drive of forcing what looked to be a field goal.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness. Number 23, defense. Half the distance to goal from the end of the run. First down.
Close.
It was very close. I think the refs are trying to send a message that they're going to allow him to play physical. You got to give credit to Dakota Marshall wanting to come up and lay a lick on the quarterback, but if it's questionable, a smart, heady player will not take that. Young Dakota Marshall, a sophomore, he learned something about football on that play.
You see Skip Holtz summoning him off the field and then discussing it with him. First down, no gain. Linville Joseph again leads the charge. Chubb Small, the senior from Auburndale, Alabama, on the carry. That'll do it for the first 15 minutes. 3-0 East Carolina lead. But can Marshall punch it in when we come back for quarter number 2 from a sold-out Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium? Start of the second quarter, it's East Carolina 3-0 on Marshall. The Thundering Herd threatening in the red zone, but that's where the Pirate defense has been at its best.
They do a good job down low, Carter. They've stopped 9 of 27 drives since they've been down there, including 3 turnovers on downs, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 missed field goals. If you're going to play well in any area on the field on defense, it's certainly down here in the red zone. And you got to give credit to Greg Hudson and what a great job he's doing here for ECU. These players really respect him, and he's a tough coach. I call him a player's coach because he's tough and his players play for him. He's not kind of a happy-go-lucky guy. He's an intense guy that gets these guys prepared. This is a great hire. Bringing Greg Hudson here has done a great job for the defense. Let's see if he can get these guys going, put them in a position to just go out there, relax, and make a play here on second down.
Racehorse formation out of the change between quarters. Darius Passmore lined up for the direct snap. Here's Passmore trying to turn the corner, denied. Flag on the play. Got a hold against Marshall.
We're going to move him back.
Well, East Carolina's been victimized. Now RG Detillier is going to tell us about a critical call against Marshall.
ECU doing a great job on
Holding.
Racehorse.
Number 81, offense. 10-yard penalty. Line of scrimmage. Replay, second down.
ECU's defense doing a great job against the Racehorse. When they see them come out in this formation, they holler, cat, 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 cat. It says because it's like trying to hurt cats when you have that Racehorse defense or that offense out there. So the way and the adjustment that Greg Hudson, the defensive coordinator, made, he says, I want my guys to come off the football, engage, and then pop up like a linebacker, get 22 eyes on the football, and it worked beautifully on that last play.
They played against it earlier this year when they played against West Virginia, so that's when he came up with the defensive call. Like a herding cats.
And talking with him, Carter, he said his strategy in that game was to keep them in the same defense so that they didn't have to think. He said when his players go out there and play, they're at their best when they're not thinking, they're just reacting. He's trying to replicate that on this series against that formation. And again, great job by defensive coordinator Greg Hudson.
The officiating crew respots the football for second down and goal now after the penalties. So it's second down and goal from the 18. This is the third Marshall drive. The first 2 ended in interceptions. Mark Cannon, the redshirt freshman QB, on the roll out to the end zone for Passmore, and he misses him. Darius Passmore was wide open in the back corner of the end zone.
Now just a sprint out to the right side. Darius Passmore did a good job of getting behind his defender. Just runs an out and up or a chair route. Does a good job of beating the defensive back on the outside. The ball's just oversown. You saw a little fluster from Passmore that pass wasn't there.
good 5-yard separation from Dakota Marshall.
Yeah, old Dakota Marshall's lucky that ball was overthrown, or that could have been another play in the same series that could have been costly for these guys.
9th play of the Marshall drive. Can is just 1 for 5 passing. And with the play clock winding down, he just does get the snap off running on 3rd down and goal from the 18. Darius Marshall carries it inside the 10. But that's going to bring on the Marshall field goal unit.
Again, credit ECU's defense for doing what they needed to do to keep the football out of the end zone. One of the things they do well, we talked about, is play red zone defense. And right now, these teams apparently are going to trade field goals heading into this early second quarter. This is going to be the type of game we can expect to see tonight, a very physical game that's dominated by the defenses.
Call this a 26-yarder. Craig Ratanamorn, the junior, who came to Marshall as a soccer player, but he's given up his soccer career to kick for the Marshall football team. His 26-yarder is no good. Missed it to the right. Mark it down as another red zone stop for the East Carolina defense. They had a shot at the end zone, missed it, and then Ratanamorn misses a 26-yarder. Still 3-0 ECU. Similar programs between Marshall and East Carolina building back up. And this is 2008, how similar the numbers are coming into this game.
It's eerie how similar these two teams are, Carter. And when you're in a ball game like this, oftentimes the difference is 1 or 2 plays. We've seen a missed field goal by Marshall. We've seen lots of penalties by ECU. It's going to be the team that eliminates the big mistake that is going to fare the best at the end of this ball game.
Penalty flag before the snap.
Looks to be a false start.
False start. Number 3, offense. 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
That's a tight end, Devon Drew.
Right now, ECU's a little out of sync. They've got penalties on both sides of the football. They're just hurting themselves and giving up critical field position, whether it's defense or on offense. And in a tight game, when you have offenses that are struggling to move the ball a little bit, penalties can be hurtful. And right now, the Pirates aren't helping themselves.
TJ Lee goes in motion on 1st down and 15. A handoff goes to Norman Whitley, who picks up a couple on 1st down as we check in with the CBS College Sports Desk.
All right, Carter, thanks a lot. Adam Zucker here. Nick Saban's return to LSU over on CBS. It was 7-0 Bama, but then the Tigers score 2 straight. The second, Charles Scott, 31 yards for number 32. He's not going down. Jarrett Lee to Demetrius Byrd for the first touchdown to make it 14-7 over number 1. Back to you guys.
That's one of the big questions about LSU is quarterback Jarrett Lee.
Well, when you got Charles Scott, a running back that runs like he can, that's what you want to be able to do, is play physical football. I do not think that Alabama's going to be able to come out of the SEC undefeated. It may be today or it may be against Florida in the SEC championship game.
Screen to Whitley, picks up a 1st down for East Carolina near the 1st down. That makes mark this one off. Now Detillier says, yep, move the chains. Norman Whitley is becoming the featured back in this East Carolina offense. 134 rushing yards versus UCF. Mentioned that he began the year as the 4th string running back. Dominique Lindsay went down in preseason camp with an injured knee. Brandon Simmons was then the starting running back, a walk-on. Jonathan Williams has actually been suspended for the rest of the year, so it's Norman Whitley's job now, and he's made the most of it. Defender falls down, so a wide open Alex Taylor moves it into Marshall territory.
Good job by East Carolina, again, running the play action. They were out of the I formation. They had 2 backs to go up, do a good job. One of the things they said they wanted to do, East Carolina, to try and eliminate those sacks and pressures on play action, is get rid of the football quicker. They did a great job, Pinckney did, finding the zone on that last play, moving the chains.
Taylor has 1 touchdown catch without Jamar Bryant, who's also suspended. This wide receiving core has a total of 2 touchdown catches. Dwayne Harris has 1 of them. He makes that 1st down grab to pick up about 6.
Dwayne Harris, a young sophomore out of Stone Mountain, Georgia, talked about liking the football in his hands quick out in the flat. He's got tremendous self-efficacy. That means he's confident in his ability to do some things out on the edge. And right there, doing a good job of getting the ball in his hands, moving the chains, getting 6 yards. But Dwayne Harris is a playmaker and a leading receiver on this team for a reason. And we just saw a little bit of it right there.
He's coming back from a shoulder injury. Had only 2 catches versus UCF on Sunday.
Because they were running the ball so dang well.
Absolutely. Pressure coming on 2nd down and 4. Whitley runs right into the teeth of that pressure. Mario Harvey stops him about a yard short of the 1st down. Harvey's a tough hitter. I mean, he could knock a dog off a T-bone steak with the way he comes up and run support. Rob Cass still on the sideline. East Carolina has been rotating Rob Cass and Patrick Pinckney at QB. But obviously Skip Holtz and Todd Fitch like the way that Pinckney's managed this game so far.
Well, the key is to get Pinckney into a rhythm. And right now, barring the penalties, ECU's done a pretty good job. Pinckney is running this offense very, very well. Hard counts right there. Good job, ECU, switching it up, catching the defense of Marshall off guard.
Offside. 90 defense. 5-yard penalty. Penalty will result in a 1st down.
Michael Janik jumps, giving East Carolina the 1st down.
Well, we talked about the offense, and one of the things that they had to do to take advantage or to nullify a very aggressive blitzing Marshall defense was to be able to do things where, like, you can hard count people, maybe do a hurry-up offense and keep them out of their game, because when Marshall's able to line up and pin their ears back and come, they're pretty dangerous. But when you do a good job hard counting like they did on that last play, it really helps your guys out all over the place.
What else offensively do you kind of dial up against a blitzing defense? As we see Pinckney go on play action on 1st down. Now he has to scramble as the pocket breaks down. He's ridden down by Bembry after a 1-yard gain.
Well, the best way to stop the blitz is to beat it up top with a play action pass or just a regular pass, or to run draws and screens. Both of those things can catch a defense out of position when they're blitzing. But right here we see Pinckney doing a good job and doing what he does best, and better job than Rob Cass, and that's scrambling the football. If there's anything that Patrick Pinckney does that is a benefit to him, is his ability to be able to avoid sacks and make something out of nothing. And right there, it's a nominal gain, but 1 yard, but much better than a sack, Carter.
Well, East Carolina, just like against UCF, failing to protect, especially on play action. So 2nd down and 9 with 4 wide. That ball may have been tipped. The pass is incomplete anyway on 2nd down.
Look to be Delvin Johnson out there on the end, and that's one of the things that Marshall does a good job, is batting balls down. You take a look there, number 98 does a good job of getting his hands up and certainly gets a hand on it, making it very hard for the receiver to be able to get up underneath it. Joe Womack, the freshman, just couldn't get there, but bringing up a 3rd and long situation.
3rd down and 9. Trouble getting the play call in, so Skip Holtz has to take a timeout. He does not appear to be happy about that miscommunication. 3-0 lead for East Carolina. A big 3rd down and 9 coming up. Skip Holtz is East Carolina Pirates seeking win number 6, which would make them bowl eligible and bowl likely. They're coming in at 5-3 here against Marshall. Both teams 3-1 in Conference USA, sitting atop the East Division in Conference USA. Mentioned before we started, it's been up and down seasons for both of these teams, but the bottom line is on November 8th, Mark Snyder said, I'd love to be in this position. It's November. We have a chance to compete for the conference championship. 3rd and 9. Pinckney to the air. Batted away and almost intercepted. Ashton Hall, the junior strong safety, comes over to knock it away from Alex Taylor.
Well, that's one of those lookout passes. Pinckney laid the ball up. Alex Taylor was just on a skinny post inside here. The safety does a good job of Marshall coming over and disengaging the player from the football. Credit Ashton Hall, the strong safety, with a great job forcing 4th down in a field goal attempt by the Pirates.
This is Ben Hartman. It will be from 51. His career long is a 52-yarder he hit earlier this year, hit last year versus UTEP. Hartman from 51, and it is dead on. 6-0 East Carolina as Ben Hartman nails the 51 versus UCF, and a couple of big kicks here to get East Carolina a 6-0 lead. 51-yard field goal from Ben Hartman, the junior out of North Davidson High School in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. He had the second game-winning kick of his career in the overtime win over UCF, and now he has a couple of kicks to get this one started. A 31-yarder and a 51-yarder.
It's a good job of the kicking game at ECU, and Hartman's longest kick prior to that this year was 42 yards, so he must have had his Wheaties this morning and put some leg into it. But I'm sure the ECU is happy to have some points on the board and convert, but these penalties, Carter, early on, they're going to go back and watch this film and look at some tremendous missed opportunities that they've had because they haven't played sound football.
It will be Matt Dodge kicking it away to Darius Marshall, who had the big 42-yard return on the last East Carolina kickoff. So Dodge kicks it away from Darius Marshall. Spann will bring it out of the end zone, and Emmanuel Spann gets leveled at the 26. As we check in with Adam at the CBS College Sports Desk.
All right, Carter, thanks a lot. We moved to number 1 Bama, trailing earlier against LSU. That was the deal for number 3 Penn State at Iowa until Evan Royster goes in for his 11th touchdown of the year, completing an 11-play, 75-yard drive. Remember, Bama, Texas Tech, and Penn State all outside the AP top 10 to start the year, guys.
I think we should just crumple up the preseason polls moving forward. Just start it like the BCS does. Started about a third of the way into the season, and let's just rank the teams from there.
Just goes to show you football's won and lost on the field.
Darius Marshall, he's 7 yards downfield on the first down carry before East Carolina lays a finger on it. A sophomore from Georgia. 4-0 Marshall when he rushes for 100 plus. He got 102 versus Houston, and they won the game.
Did a very good job last week, averaged almost 7 yards per carry. Just a sophomore, but he's their leading rusher returning from last year. And you give that guy some space, he can make you pay for it. He showed you what he's able to do on that last play.
Marshall to hand off again on first down. He got more carries as a freshman than he expected to because a guy named Ahmad Bradshaw left early for the NFL. Ended up with New York Giants, critical member of that Super Bowl run last year for the Giants. So Darius Marshall as a freshman ended up with 631 yards, made the CUSA all-freshman team. 5'10", 189. He gives you a good burst out of the backfield.
Yeah, he's not the biggest guy, and his offensive line's pretty small up front, but does a good job with his vision and quickness and burst to be able to get those extra tough yards.
Second down, Small is dropped. Jeremy Chambliss. The linebacking core is having to pick up the slack because Quentin Cotton, who is maybe the leader of this team, certainly the leader of the defense versus Tulane, tearing his ACL. And as we talked with these guys, you know, even the guys on offense like Devon Drew and like Rob Cass and Patrick Pinckney talked about how devastating it was when Quentin Cotton went down with that injury.
He really was the heart and soul of this team as a team leader on both sides of the football. So when he went down, ECU felt it throughout the program.
Third down, pass complete to Cody Slate, who's close to a first down. From the mark, he's got it. Move the chains.
Well, it's clear right now that what Marshall wants to do is get the ball in Cody Slate's hand out in the flat, and that was a good job right there, them being able to move the chains and take advantage of some cushion out there on the outside edge. Right now, Mark Can, we talked about how he needs to take a little bit more passes. They're moving the chains, but I would expect I think Marshall fans and players would like to see some shots downfield and maybe eliminate that big long interception they had early on.
Obviously, the couple of shots haven't worked out when Marshall's taken them so far today. A couple of interceptions. So now the ground game as Darius Marshall picks up another 5 on the first down carry. Later in the game, we'll have the Home Depot tools for success. And if Marshall ends up with establishing the run like they are now, 57 rushing yards now for Darius Marshall. I think if Marshall's able to run the football like that, you might be looking as a tool for success being the Herd ground game.
No question, we talked about ECU needing to win the battle of the bulge early on with the progressive keys to this game, and right now it's the Marshall's offensive line and the running game that are having their way with ECU's defense as we see another example of a great rushing attack.
Are you surprised to see this against a stout East Carolina defense? Right now, Marshall is getting that shove up front, and Darius Marshall's now over 60 rushing yards with 6 minutes to go in the half.
I'm a little surprised. I think the strength of ECU's defense was their front four and is their front four. They've also got a good linebacking core. Marshall's offensive line is young, but when you have a game like you did last week against Houston where you rushed the ball for over 250 yards, it gives you confidence and you start to figure things out. The light bulb goes off.
This is Chubb Small with the first down carry. No matters who is handling the rock right now from Marshall, they are finding holes to run through.
They're just taking this ball right up inside between the tackles. It's just a zone. You see a good job right there. Look at this hole. Huge space for the running back to be able to get through. Small does a good job of showing you his burst, busting through that hole. ECU's going to have to bring a safety down or get their linebackers to fill those sort of holes, but that's what Marshall does so well, is creating those running lanes.
Safety still playing back on first down, so it's up to those front seven. Marshall coming off the corner from his cornerback position makes the ankle tackle on the senior from Alabama, Chubb Small. So Marshall took a couple of shots early on, but since those interceptions, Mark Snyder and his offensive coordinator, John Shannon, 19-6 now, the rushing plays versus passing plays.
Well, yeah, and I wouldn't throw the ball. 2 of those 6 passes were for interceptions, so you got to stick with what works, and right now the running game is working for the Herd.
Handed off again on 2nd down and 6. Darius Marshall picks up a few. This will bring up 3rd down and about 3.
Well, Carter, you get into these situations, it starts to become man-on-man. Marshall's not disguising what they're doing. They're playing physical football, and they're making a definitive statement to the Pirates. We're going to run the football at you. You have to find a way to stop it. Right now, ECU hasn't been able to do that on the ground. They got to be able to dig deep, find a way to win their matchup up front, not do too much, and wrap up the running back.
3rd down and 3. Darius Marshall fighting for the first down. Did he get enough before Van Eskridge and the Pirates push him back? This is close.
I don't know if he got enough. The safeties, as we talked about earlier, needing to help out in that run game, were able to come down. Good job up front, getting a hat on the hat. The right tackle doing a good job of blowing the defensive end off the ball. You have to take a look at Matt Otabello doing a great job right there, winning his matchup to be able to run the football. I tell you what, Carter, Marshall's doing a great job of running, and he have confidence. If you're running the football like this and it's 4th and 1, have some confidence in your guys up front. Marshall going for it on a critical 4th down.
Remember, they missed a 26-yard field goal, so that may factor in.
Marshall, timeout. First call, timeout. Media timeout.
4th down and 1 is coming up. Marshall's dominated on the ground game, especially on this drive. This is the 11th play. It's 4th down and 1, and yet the Herd are trailing 6-0. Marshall going for it on 4th down. They're 6 of 11 on the season. Darius Marshall picks up the first down to the East Carolina 15. Move the chains.
That's winning the battle up front. Not a whole lot of discussion or disguising of what's going on. Marshall's offensive line just coming off the football. You see a sea of green. Darius Marshall doing a good job of hitting the ball backside and getting those critical yards needed for the first down. And now it's Marshall in the red zone threatening to score.
Chubb Small takes over at tailback and gets the first down carry. Hit at the line, but he manages to lean forward to pick up nearly 4 yards on the first down carry. Before Chambliss finally brings him down. The rushing yards now, 171 for Marshall over East Carolina, and yet 0 points on the scoreboard so far for Mark Snyder's team.
Well, those 2 interceptions didn't help. Turnovers will kill you, especially on the road. But when you run the football like they're able to do right now against ECU, it's going to pay dividends. This defense for East Carolina has been on the field a long time, and Marshall's rushing game is doing a great job, and right now winning the battle up front. So much for that Zen balance we talked about at the beginning of the ball game that Coach Snyder wanted.
Confucius say run until they stop the run, right?
Confucius say start out with plan, be ready to change plan. And right now, offensive coordinator John Shannon and this Marshall herd doing a great job of using what works for you. Run where they ain't, Carter. And right now, Marshall doing a good job on the ground running the football.
Well, Mark Snyder made no bones about it earlier this week. He said, look, we have 2 priorities on offense. We want to run the football, and we want to hang on to the football. When we get our shots, we'd like to hit them, but it all begins in the ground game for the Thundering Herd. 3rd down and 9. Marshall only 1 for 5 on 3rd down so far. Mark Cann on the rollout on 3rd and 9 to the end zone. It is batted down and incomplete. Dakota Marshall bats it away from the intended receiver, Cody Slate.
Great job by Dakota Marshall breaking on that football. That young man, again, had the critical penalty early on with the personal foul pushing out of bounds. But right here on the corner route, does a good job of breaking it. That's a good pass breakup. Slate was hoping to be able to get the ball and get the touchdown, but credit ECU's defense for finding a way to get themselves off the field. Again, ECU very good in the red zone, forcing a field goal here for the Herd.
Britannia Morn from 31. He missed a 26-yard field goal attempt earlier. This one, however, is good, and Marshall is on the board. They run it into the red zone, end up with 3 to make it 6-3. It's a field goal game. A couple of stout defenses going at it in Greenville. East Carolina gives up a 15-play drive, ending up in a 31-yard field goal, 6-3. As we check out the Bud Light Stats 6-pack. And look at the rushing number dominance for Marshall, 171 to 43 over East Carolina. And obviously after they threw a couple of picks on the first possessions, it's all about the ground game now for the Thundering Herd.
Yeah, you see, taking a look at Greg Hudson right there, not happy with his defense. They're not playing and responding. They made some big plays early, but they've hurt themselves with mistakes, and they cannot stop the run. Right now, Marshall's offense doing a great job of dominating the line of scrimmage up front.
What'd you say about your guy, Greg Hudson? You wouldn't describe him as a happy-go-lucky guy?
Yeah, my guess is there's going to be a couple choice words at halftime, and to his credit, ECU does a good job of making halftime adjustments. I'm sure that they'll come out and try and do something, but right now it doesn't look like they can do anything against Marshall's run game.
Dwayne Harris returns into the 27. And once again, we'll see Patrick Pinckney. So instead of the quarterback rotation between Pinckney and Rob Cass, it is all Patrick Pinckney here in the first half.
They're trying to give him some confidence. Last week it was the same thing. They left him in for the first half and wanted to see what Rob Cass could do, and it's flip-flop this week where Pinckney's getting a chance to be able to move the chains and do something offensively, and gets a good first down right there, showing some good patience to stay in the pocket and moving the football.
Finding TJ Lee. First couple of possessions for East Carolina were both 3 and out. And then field goal drives on the last couple of possessions for the Pirates. They tried to quick snap it here on first down, trying to catch Marshall off guard defensively. Herd back on their heels, and TJ Lee makes the grab. Gets out of bounds.
Well, this is what ECU needs to do, is get in that hurry-up, no-huddle offense. There's only 1 minute and 13 left in the half, and with as tight as this ball game's been, being a 6-3 ball game with the turnovers and the ineffectiveness of both offenses in the red zone, any sort of points down here would be a big difference for a first half to go in at halftime and have some confidence. But the way Marshall's playing, they are not going to make it easy for ECU Pirates.
Pinckney out of the shotgun on second down. The check down goes to Brandon Simmons. Simmons leaning forward for an East Carolina first down as he runs over Daquan Bembry.
Well, I'll tell you what, Carter, in the Conference USA, we're used to seeing these air-it-out offenses with very little defense, but this is a tremendously physical football game today. These players are going to be sore in the morning, but both teams playing extremely physical right now.
Into Marshall territory on first down. Pinckney wants to take a shot, just sails it over the head of Dwayne Harris with 53 seconds remaining in the half.
Offensive line of the Pirates did a great job in pass protection on that play. Pinckney had some time and some options to be able to get the football. Dwayne Harris running a little bit of a corner out, ball just overthrown. Pinckney settled down a little bit and could put that ball on the mark. That would have been a crucial completion, but 2nd and 10 and still plenty of time for the Pirates to move the football.
Dwayne Harris had to retie his shoe before he could line up in the slot on 2nd down. Lots of pad. Ball was tipped by Albert McClellan on the 2nd down pass. Patrick Pinckney, 6 foot. That's one of the problems you have with a guy who's a shorter quarterback.
Well, Albert McClellan, that's his 4th pass breakup on the year. He's got a knack for it. And I'll say this, anytime I was blocking against a defensive lineman and he batted the ball, it means he was making no progress to the quarterback. So as good as it looks on film, it oftentimes means the defensive player is getting blocked.
Pressure coming on the near side on 3rd down and 10. Pirates pick it up. Time for Pinckney to throw downfield. Caught for a first down into the red zone. Devon Drew.
Great job by Devon Drew. ECU getting smart, moving the pocket on a waggle. Just hits Devon Drew, the big tight end, on a corner route. That young man does a good job of getting into the seams and finding the holes or the open grass in the zone. Great job by ECU moving the football on that play.
1st and 10 from the 16 with the clock ticking under 30 seconds now in the first half. East Carolina does have 2 timeouts left. They run the football on first down. Norman Whitley, and here's the second called timeout by Skip Holtz, who's furious.
Timeout, East Carolina, their 2nd. This will be a 30-second timeout.
That Pinckney didn't get that ball snapped quicker.
Well, I tell you what, that was a good call, but poor execution. The right tackle, DJ Scott, got beat by his man. His end was able to come around the outside and get the tackle, but a draw against a very physical defense is what it is you want to be able to run. But keep your eye on the right tackle. Number 44 does a good job of coming inside and making the play, probably prevent what could have been a first down. Great heads-up play and job by that Marshall defense.
20 seconds away from the half. We'll send you back to the CBS College Sports Desk. Dara McIntosh, Brian Jones, David Pollack, including an update on Nick Saban's return to Baton Rouge. I think the LSU fans maybe thought a thing or two about Nick Saban coming back with his Alabama team.
Well, you can't blame him. He goes to the NFL and leaves them with having so much success, and then he comes back and goes to such a rival. Of course, they're going to be bitter, but it's probably because they lost a good football coach, although they've got a pretty good one there now in Les Miles.
2nd down toss is complete to Alex Taylor. They'll mark him out of bounds, and no flag upcoming. Now, the line judge marked him out, and clearly there was a hit after that by Mario Harvey, but no flag.
Maybe the referees are forgetting that this is a home game for ECU, and these calls are supposed to go their way. Earlier in the game, we saw number 23, Dakota Marshall, get flagged for a very similar play against the quarterback. They didn't call it there for ECU, but you have 16 seconds left, 5 yards to go. It's 2nd down, 1st down. ECU has to find a way to be able to put this ball into the end zone and go into halftime with tremendous confidence.
Look for Devon Drew at the bottom of the screen. That's what Patrick Pinckney does. Touchdown, East Carolina. The Pirates first into the end zone.
You see the excitement there of the crowd and the fans and the players. Great job by Patrick Pinckney getting the ball to a 2nd leading receiver and big target. Devon Drew going up on the fade with the nice soft hands. Great job in execution by ECU.
Ben Hartman boots through his 72nd consecutive point after touchdown kick. And it's a 13-3 lead for East Carolina as Pinckney leads the touchdown drive. at the end of the first half.
But they're doing a good job. Look at the bottom of your screen. You see Devon Drew looking right in at the quarterback, hoping to make eye contact. They probably worked this in practice and know what's coming. Does a good job selling the route inside, absolutely beating the cornerback, TJ Drakeford, out there on the edge. Devon Drew is a tremendous receiver and showing some great ball skills for a big guy and a tight end. Absolutely turning around the cornerback back there. But to Marshall's credit, they've got to be able to find a way to respond offensively. And Carter, you have to remember, they had almost broke a big kick return earlier in this ball game. ECU is not out of this half yet. They have to make one more play because Marshall's return game could make them pay.
Drew with his second touchdown catch of his senior season. That's a weakness for Marshall at corner. You have two redshirt freshman corners in Bembry and Drakeford. Drakeford's taken over for J.J. Johnson, who was dismissed from the Marshall program over the summer. Short kick. Skip Holtz thinking along your wavelength there, and that he'd seen a couple of good returns from Marshall in the kicking game, so just kick it short, a couple of seconds run off, and now Marshall gets it at the 34 with 10 seconds left in the half.
10 points in a ball game like this can be huge if ECU's defense can hang on. It would be very big for them, but Marshall's offense, with explosive as they've been on the ground and being able to run the football. Old Mark Can not doing a good job when he throws the ball deep, turning the football over early with the interceptions, but looks like Marshall's going to dial up a play and try and get one in before halftime.
Can is just 2 for 7 passing with a couple of interceptions, and he will take a sack in what will likely be the end of the first half. C.J. Wilson, the lumber in the lumber and lightning combination at defensive end. So a solid end to the first half for East Carolina. A touchdown on the last offensive drive. C.J. Wilson sacks Mark Can. That's the end of the first half with the score East Carolina 13, Marshall 3. We'll send you to the CBS College Sports Desk after these messages.
Hello and welcome to the CBS College Sports Desk at the half edition of Marshall at ECU alongside David Pollack and Brian Jones. I'm Dara McIntosh. Guys, this is a battle for first place in the East Division of Conference USA. Your thoughts on the first half?
Well, it was a great defensive battle, and I love a defensive battle being a former linebacker. Well, I'm still a linebacker. I always
Former's
a linebacker.
Good.
Listen, I like this ball game until that last possession there. Pinckney hooking up with the big receiver Drew. This was all about defense and solid defense on both parts.
Yeah, and Mark Can for Marshall is deciding to throw it to the wrong team. He's got the same amount of completions to the other team as he does at his team. So if Marshall wants to stay in this game, we know ECU's defense is good. You got to have some kind of balance. They have none whatsoever so far.
ECU's defense is good. C.J. Wilson gets the sack on Marshall's Mark Can to end the first half. All right, this is the scene at Dowdy Stadium, halftime of your Marshall at ECU game, where ECU took a late 13-3 lead over Marshall, and we'll see. That's going to do it for us here on the CBS College Sports Desk halftime report. Adam and I will be back after the game with more highlights and scores. For Brian B.J. Jones and David Pollack, I'm Dara McIntosh. We take you back out to Carter Blackburn and Aaron Taylor at Dowdy Stadium for the second half, where ECU is leading 13-3. Enjoy the second half.
College football on CBS College Sports is being brought to you by Icy Hot. Gets icy to dull the pain, then hot to relax it away. By DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you've got to get DirecTV. And by Energizer Lithium. Keep going. Congratulations to homecoming king and queen Gillum Bogle and Beth Ann Curry, your 2008 East Carolina University homecoming king and queen. It's 13-3 ECU at the half. We're joined now by East Carolina head coach Skip Holtz. Coach, we saw Patrick Pinckney at quarterback throughout the first half. Do you stay with Patrick in the second half, or do you rotate with Rob Cass some?
No, right now it's Patrick's game. It's Patrick's game. He's doing a good job of protecting the ball. And one of the reasons that we made the change when we made that before was because we had turned the ball over a couple times. But he's doing a great job right now protecting the ball and running the football team. We've made some mistakes. We've got to eliminate the penalties in the second half and keep this thing rolling.
Coach,
it's a 60-minute game.
Coach, great job defending the pass, but how are you guys going to stop? What's the adjustments you're going to make against Marshall's run game?
Well, we're going to have to turn and stand up a little bit stronger inside. I mean, because we have done a good job with our shell. We've been playing base defense. We may have to get a little bit more aggressive and bring an extra hat into the box, but we got to be careful because they've got such a dangerous passing threat and pass more. So we just got to make sure that we turn and mix it up and keep it off balance.
Coach, thanks for the time.
Thank you, guys.
That's East Carolina head coach Skip Holtz, his team up 13-3 at the break. And now we look at the halftime stats presented by All-State. Couple changes there. We've counted the provisional ballots. These are the official All-State halftime stats.
Well, one of the things that really jumps out at me, Carter, is the rush yards for Marshall. They're doing a great job against ECU, and what we saw Norman Whitley against the Pirates, they just haven't been able to establish the run, but it's the turnovers. Marshall, that's the key stat. You can't have turnovers on the when you're on the road, and Marshall's got two, and that's really been the difference in this ball game because they've been able to move the ball on the ground.
Well, obviously the key play at the end of the half was Devon Drew with the touchdown, the only touchdown of the first half. And as we like to do here at halftime on CBS College Sports, time once again for the tailor-made play.
Well, the tailor-made play this week is ECU's ability. Keep your eye on the bottom of the screen at tight end, Devon Drew. He's going to do a great job of selling the slant, but great move right there, turning the safety around, running the corner, doing a great job for a big man, a big target. He's very, very good at creating separation. Patrick Pinckney on the move, doing a good job settling his feet, laying the ball exactly where he needs to. But right now, that's been the weapon that ECU's been able to utilize is Devon Drew at that tight end position. Marshall's going to have to keep an eye on him in the second half and eliminate him from the Pirate arsenal.
As you heard Skip Holtz say, it will be Patrick Pinckney. They like the way that he has moved the football, the touchdown drive to close out the half with his 8th passing touchdown of the season. They've gone back and forth. He rallied the Pirates to a second half comeback versus UCF after East Carolina was shut out in the first half when Rob Cass got the start at QB. So Patrick Pinckney, who had 2 monster games to begin the year against West Virginia and Virginia Tech, 80% passing against the Hokies and Mountaineers. Matt Dodge will kick it off to begin the second half, kicking to the Marshall Thundering Herd. And a tall task for Marshall, down by 10. But the Thundering Herd 0-4 this year when trailing at the half.
Well, I would stay with the run game because that's been working so well with them, but they've got to be able to find ways to take advantage of their playmakers on offense, throwing the football. Darius Passmore is one of their better receivers. He's been ineffective in this game so far. They've got to figure out a way to put the ball in his hands or make a play on special teams.
Darius Marshall bounces it outside, and Marshall, who had a 42-yard return, gets shoved into the Marshall bench, and now it gets a little chippy. Don't see any flags yet. You know, you remember back to 2007, Marshall beat East Carolina in Huntington, knocking the Pirates off the path for the CUSA East Division Championship. That's just a good clean hit.
I tell you what, Carter, we talked about this being a physical ball game, and it has not disappointed. These two teams know what's on the stake here. Conference USA standings. Both of these teams desperately want to win the Conference USA title, and for them to do it, they have to win tonight. This is a must-win situation for both teams.
Chubb Small, the first down carry. He picks up 3 right to midfield. Just like you said, Aaron, with the success of the Marshall ground game, especially when Cairns only completed 2 passes, obviously that's the emphasis now for both sides, both the Marshall offense and the East Carolina defense.
Yeah, and he did a great job last week, had 2 touchdowns and 0 interceptions against the University of Houston because their running game was working so well. But this young man has to find a way to be able to move the ball, because if Marshall becomes one-dimensional, ECU will be able to take advantage of it.
Play action on 2nd down and 7. Can dumps it to the tight end Cody Slate, who leans forward to the 45.
Sniffing that play out was number 44, Nick Johnson, doing a great job filling in there at middle linebacker. He's one of those kind of throwback players. He just has a good nose for the football, finds a way to go. He's won the Blackbeard Award, which is the highest defensive award you can win for ECU the last 2 weeks because of the way he plays. He's not fancy. He's not the biggest guy. He's not the fastest guy, but he is a football player. He finds the football and knows how to make plays.
East Carolina defense looking for a stop here on 3rd down and 2. Can from the shotgun. Quick hitter to guess who? Darius Passmore. He's the weapon in the passing game that Marshall hasn't been able to utilize so far.
And as we suggested, this is one of the things that Marshall needs to do is be able to throw the football. Just a simple stop route by Passmore right there, covered by Emmanuel Davis, the freshman that's had such a good game so far. This will allow and force ECU's defense to have to defend the whole field and not pin their ears back and just stop the run.
First catch of the game for Darius Passmore, just the 3rd completed pass by Marshall. Darius Marshall joins Can in the backfield for 1st and 10. It's Darius Marshall running for another 4, maybe 5 yards. And with the help of Home Depot, we take a look at our tools for success. It is the Marshall ground game.
Well, we talked about the importance of winning the battle up front, and Marshall's certainly been able to do that. They've done a great job, but it's been the interceptions is the reason that they only have 3 points on the ball game. Can not doing a very good job protecting the football. You've seen Emmanuel Davis come up with 2 interceptions, playing huge. They've got to be able to settle down, eliminate the mistakes because they're on the road.
Chubb Small to carry on 2nd down and 5, slipping out of a tackle to get another Marshall 1st down, rushing the football.
I tell you what, you got to give credit to this big Marshall offensive line, which is dominating ECU right now. Chubb Small was untouched until he got to the secondary, doing a really good job. They're going to have to bring down safeties and get better play out of their linebackers and their defensive linemen. Right now, these guys are getting eaten up, not coming off the football, and Marshall's able to move the ball at will on the ground.
Linebackers show pressure on 1st down. Here they come. Can leaves it well short, intended for Bryant Milligan on the 1st down screen. Can is just 4 for 10 passing.
Can hasn't had a bad year thus far. He's thrown for over 1,500 yards and relatively accurate passer, completing 52% of his balls. He is a freshman, and a lot of times when you get a young guy in a big game, they get a little bit nervous. It's so important for a quarterback to be able to get into a rhythm, and right now, thus far tonight, Mark Can just has not been able to do that.
You have to credit the East Carolina defense there, though, don't you?
Absolutely.
Tosses to Darius Marshall, who finds room to run. To the 9 now for Darius Marshall, who's gone over 80 rushing yards.
Well, Cardi, you want to know why Marshall's offense is working? You've got some great blocks on the crackback. Right now, Brian Milligan doing a good job up here at the top of the screen, sealing the edge. That allows Darius Marshall to be able to get to the edge. You see some missed tackles. This is what you do to be able to run the football. And Carter, when you can move the football like that on the ground, you don't need to be able to throw it.
93 rushing yards for Darius Marshall. When he goes over 100, the Herd are 4-0 on the season. 1st and goal. Guess who gets it? Darius Marshall. Finally ridden down by Darrell Reynolds, the corner.
I'm not one to typically be a stat guy, but Marshall's 0-4 this year when trailing at half. But when you block like this and have a small guy running through and breaking tackles, you better get your arms and wrap around him if you're ECU, because arm tackles just aren't going to get the job done against Darius Marshall tonight.
2nd down and goal from the 6. Can gives it to Chubb Small, trying to stretch it to the broad side. He's shoved out for a loss. Dakota Marshall forces him out for a loss of maybe 1, marking it about the 7.
Carter, what we're watching is the benefit of having two backs that you can trust for Marshall. Going back and forth between Darius Marshall and Chubb Small means that they always have a fresh back on the field. It's very hard when the defense has not been able to substitute. You got to remember, East Carolina has had a lot of injuries at the defensive line position, meaning they don't substitute much. So when you have a fresh back with fresh legs coming in, it tremendously helps the run game.
Empty backfield. Darius Marshall is split wide on 3rd down and goal. Slate, the tight end, lined up in the slot left. Can to Slate for the touchdown. Marshall's into the end zone on the opening drive of the second half.
That's exactly what Marshall needed to do. Great job by Can setting up and throwing to his money guy, Cody Slate, for the touchdown. Just a simple post pattern. Good job by Slate of finding the seam in that hole in the defense, and credit the run game in being able to open up that defense to create room for that pass on that touchdown.
Ratanamorn for the PAT. It is no good. Off the upright, it is no good. East Carolina can run this back. Now they're going to whistle it dead. How is that? Off the upright. That's why it's no good. Off the upright. So they call the play dead. That was nearly a sneaky play there for Darrell Reynolds. He was lying in the weeds waiting to pick that one up and take it back. So dead ball, it's off the upright. PAT is no good.
Carter, that's one of the things you talk about and you learn in football at Pop Warner level, playing to the whistle. There was no whistle that was blown. I think there was a little bit of confusion. But they scored a touchdown, and Marshall is right back in this ball game, making it a 4-point ball game. 13 ECU, Marshall 9.
Over 43,000 here at Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium in Greenville, North Carolina. A sellout crowd to watch the top two teams in Conference USA's Eastern Division. A year ago, Marshall knocked East Carolina out of first place in Huntington, and now the Pirates trying to return the favor. But the Slate touchdown catch at the end of that Marshall drive has pulled the Thundering Herd within 4 after the missed PAT from Ratanamorn, who's now missed a 26-yard field goal and a PAT. Short kickoff handled by one of the ECU upmen, returned to the 35.
It's going to be good offensive field position to be able to start the first drive of the second half for the Pirates. The Pirates do a very good job historically going in at halftime and making adjustments. So it's going to be interesting to see what they come out. Take a look at this third quarter. Right here, they outscore their opponent 64-29. Right now, the defense didn't seem to make adjustments, and Marshall got the better of them. Let's see if the Pirate offense can respond and put some points up on the board. But Marshall definitely has the momentum and the confidence right now to start the third quarter.
This is the first offensive drive of the second half for East Carolina. Pinckney on first down swings it out to Dwayne Harris, who cuts it back for a nice 7-yard gain. We expected to see some of that early on. Pinckney to Dwayne Harris, and sure enough, Todd Fitch dials it up on the first offensive play of the second half.
Well, that's Dwayne Harris's dream come true, is getting the ball quick into his hands on the quick screen out in the flat so he can use his athletic ability to make plays. Gets 8 yards on that first down.
I formation backfield on 2nd down and 2. Pinckney backs away. Jason Simmons leading the way for Norman Whitley, who's near the first down. No fumble on the play. The ball was dead. Where the line judge standing, this looks like a ECU first down. And it is.
Good job by Mario Harvey, linebacker for Marshall on that time, coming over on the backside with a cutback. Norman Whitley using the great vision he has in short yardage to be able to get the first down. ECU, again, we talked about the importance of getting into a rhythm. They've got to have some success here on first down.
42 rushing yards for Norman Whitley after he had a career-high 134 last Sunday versus UCF. Whitley takes it again on first down. Nice seal block on the edge to get Whitley some room to run into Marshall territory.
Carter, it looked like that block was, or that run was supposed to go up inside. ECU making a concerted effort to go inside, but the tight end, whether he gets beat or is trying to seal right here on the edge, does a good job of coming out, and Whitley just breaks off the block using his speed and stiff arm right there. Remember, he's not a big guy, but he's very strong. Great job getting first down, creating a 2nd and 5 for that play.
2nd down, swing it to Dwayne Harris in the flat again. That is tackling in space, Mr. Taylor. TJ Drakeford.
TJ Drakeford doing a good job of tackling in space. That is what you need to be able to do on defense. Right now, the receiver just turns his back. He should have made a mistake. He should have blocked Drakeford right there. Not very helping his buddy out very much out there on the edge. Dwayne Harris paid for it that time.
Third down coming up for ECU. 3 of 7 on 3rd down tonight, the Pirates. Pressure coming from the near side. East Carolina picks it up, allowing Pinckney to find Dwayne Harris, who's dragged down finally at the 37.
Well, Carter, you talked about how do you beat the blitz. You pass protect, you have good protection, you sit down there in the zone and get the ball to your best playmaker, Dwayne Harris. We talked about his ability to be able to stretch the field, how rangy and tall he is, runs a great crisp route, finds a seam in the defense, moves the chains for the Pirates.
4th catch of the night for the Pirates' leading receiver, Dwayne Harris, the sophomore from Stone Mountain, Georgia. Back to the run on 1st down. Michael Janik was sitting on it. Norman Whitley dropped for a negligible gain.
Michael Janik looked like he was unblocked as fast as he came off the line of scrimmage. There was nobody back there when Whitley tried to break the ball backside. That could be caused from confusion, but this Marshall defense, Rick Minner, the defensive coordinator, doing a good job of sending his players and keeping this run game in check so far, but clearly they're trying to be a little bit more balanced, throw the ball downfield while still maintaining the run as they bring the safety down before the snap.
Pinckney identifying the blitz on 2nd down. He goes the other way, throwing it to Joe Womack, the true freshman who makes just the 4th catch of his East Carolina career.
Go ahead on, Joe Womack from Jacksonville, North Carolina. Pinckney now in a rhythm, clearly being able to distribute the football, sit inside the pocket, not have fast feet. And that offensive line looked like they're doing a great job, as well as the running backs, and picking the blitzes up. And Carter, when you can give a quarterback time, good things are going to happen offensively.
3rd down and short. Pinckney under center now, with Norman Whitley behind him, motion on the line. Looked like it was Janik making contact.
Encroachment, contact, defense, number 90. 5-yard penalty. The penalty will result in the 1st down.
Great job by Pinckney, hard counting and using the inflection to draw the defense offside. That is a great way to slow down a defense that does a good job of getting off the football. When you're able to do that, you get a free 5 yards, creating the 1st down. This Pirate offense is in sync, and a big reason why is because of Patrick Pinckney.
He's played the whole way for East Carolina. No QB rotation tonight. Norman Whitley picks up 3 on the 1st down carry. Of course, Whitley taking over that East Carolina running back position that a guy named Chris Johnson ended up having a pretty good East Carolina career. He exploded in his senior year, 1,400 rushing yards, and he's carried it right to the Tennessee Titans. He is the 4th leading rusher in the NFL, leads the AFC. He was on this field a year ago. Whitley looking a little bit like Johnson with the downhill. That's kind of the emphasis from the run game. Steve Shankweiler's the co-offensive coordinator, offensive line coach, and he and Skip Holtz pound into the backs, downhill, downhill.
Good job. You take a look at it. Great job by the fullback, Jason Simmons. It's just a lead right there, creating some room from Norman Whitley to be able to move the pile. That is physical football. Right now, ECU doing a good job of smashing it up inside, being physical, and also throwing the ball. Right now, very balanced offense for the Pirates.
3rd down and short. The jumbo package on 3rd and 3. Whitley picking his way through near a 1st down. This could be close. Some pushing and shoving downfield too, but no flag.
Carter, I'm sitting here taking a look.
They got it.
at the center. Sean Allen for ECU just drove his guy literally into the end zone, 15 yards downfield. Talk about sustaining your block and being aggressive. That's the sign of a confidence offensive line, and they are showing the production right now by the way they're able to move the football. But if they can continue to get production out of these guys the way that they're doing, ECU is going to be very happy at the end of the night.
That's a statement call there. Isn't it 3rd and 3 and you go with the jumbo package?
It's physical football, man on man.
Pinckney to the end zone for Harris, batted it incomplete. Dangerous ball into double coverage.
Very dangerous ball. You got to credit him for trying to go to Dwayne Harris, but you throw in a double coverage. Dwayne Harris mistimes his jumps, not able to get there. Fakes with the double move, but the safety's right there expecting him. Patrick Pinckney's very lucky he didn't get that ball intercepted.
Spillman and Drakeford on the coverage.
Good job by Marshall's defense to break on that ball.
157 passing for Pinckney, trying to get the Pirates in the end zone on the first drive of the second half. Toss to Whitley. Every time he touches the football, it's been positive yards for East Carolina.
And it's so impressive for a guy that's 5'9", less than 190 pounds. This was the 4th string running back. And Carter, the sign of a good team is having depth. ECU, we all know how well they started out. You never want to make excuses, but there were some injuries on this team that really hurt them. They had some suspensions, but when you have a guy like Norman Whitley, a young sophomore, step in and be able to run the way he's been able to do, it helps your offense and your team out tremendously.
Out of the game on 3rd down and 5, it's Brandon Simmons, the lone back. A 4-wide look with Devon Drew at the bottom of the screen. Pinckney looks the other way, completes it, but is it a first down? TJ Lee turns the corner, and he looks to be about a yard short. Indeed he is. That's a full yard short, bringing up 4th down and 1.
Carter, Patrick Pinckney could not have thrown that football any better. That was on a frozen rope. It was a dart out there. He hit the receiver right in stride, but unfortunately the route was a little bit short. And credit Marshall's defense for being all over it and stopping a crucial 3rd down play.
Skip Holt says, let's take the almost guaranteed 3 points. 21-yard field goal attempt from Ben Hartman. It is good. So a field goal drive on the first possession of the second half. And it's a 16-9 lead for East Carolina. Back to a touchdown lead. How will Marshall respond? It's a 7-point lead for East Carolina on Marshall now after the latest Ben Hartman field goal. As we check out our Bud Light Stat 6-pack, Aaron, what numbers stand out to you at this point with 2:55 to go in the 3rd?
Well, Marshall's rushing game has been very impressive. They've clearly made a concerted effort to run the football up front. They haven't been able to throw it. You look at only 30 passing yards thus far in the ball game. Remember, Coach Schneider talked about having a balanced offense. He wanted to establish the run, but the lack of the ability of the Marshall Thundering Herd to be able to throw the football has really hurt them. It's been the turnovers, though, Carter. Those 2 turnovers early in the first quarter by the great play of Emmanuel Davis, a young freshman, that has been the difference in this ball game. You eliminate those 2 turnovers, Marshall could very well be in this ball game up by 2 touchdowns.
East Carolina taking the 7-point lead after that 14-play, 7-minute, 24-second drive, ending in the Hartman field goal. Marshall has nearly broke a couple of these in the kicking game.
Very well coached on special teams, and there's been a couple times where you hold your breath because you see some seams open up. If Marshall can make a big play, they can break this game wide open.
Instead, Matt Dodge kicking it away, and he squeaks out of bounds.
That's a safer than sorry.
Kick out of bounds. By rule, the ball is put on the 40-yard line. First down. Media timeout.
Marshall trailing by 7 gets the football at the 40. Can the Herd come up with a touchdown drive to tie it? Marshall seeking its first second half come from behind win of the year, its first ever win in Greenville, North Carolina. It was a touchdown drive the last time that Mark Cannon and the Marshall offense had the ball, thanks in large part to Darius Marshall.
Darius Marshall doing a great job of having some all-purpose yards, making some plays on special teams, but also when the ball's in his hand, able to run, get to the outside. Great edge blocking by Marshall and execution there. And just when you think that Marshall can't throw the football, they turn around and find the big tight end, Cody Slate, making for the touchdown. Marshall has to be able to find a way to get into a rhythm and have the same sort of mixed run-pass ratio in this second half on this drive to keep this ECU defense off balance, which thus far tonight they've basically had their way with.
That has pretty much been the ground game taken over. So going back to your progressive keys, Confucius has apparently changed his mind about the balance. Darius Marshall shoved back on the first down carry with the forward progress. It's a loss of 1.
ECU making an adjustment, maybe with a run blitz here. You see a good job of number 44, Nick Johnson, smelling that play right away, meeting the running back in the backfield. Doesn't make the tackle, though, but he slows his guy up enough for his buddies to come over. And when you swarm to the football on defense and can time plays like that, you're doing well, bringing up a 2nd and long for Marshall.
Expecting the pass on 2nd down. Everybody backed up for the ECU defense. Can fakes the give to Marshall, dumps it off, and it'll be another loss on 2nd down. Great pursuit from Jeremy Chambliss.
Chambliss does a great job, but keep your eye out on the right edge on number 95, CJ Wilson. Great leverage, keeping contained, does not let the quarterback be able to get out there. Lets the linebackers and the safeties come up and be able to make plays. Travis Simmons up there, coming from the cornerback position, bringing up a 3rd and long, something that Marshall hasn't faced much of in this ball game.
Call it 3rd down and 10. Marshall 3 of 9 on 3rd down so far. East Carolina stops the run on 1st down, forcing 3rd down and 10. Can has it batted, nearly picked, it's incomplete.
Great job by the ECU defense again of finding the football. Keep your eye again on number 44, Nick Johnson. He has a nose for the football. Good job by Darius Passmore to try and get in the zone, but when you have a guy that can make plays like that, old number Nick Johnson, the junior out of Charlotte, North Carolina, coming up huge and gets a great and much-needed pass breakup. Now it's ECU's turn to maybe see if they can get something going on special teams and move the ball and put some more points up on the board.
First punt of the night from Marshall. Whitehead gets it away. TJ Lee and Freeney let it bounce, and it takes an East Carolina bounce. The Pirate offense is going to take over at the 33. Patrick Pinckney and the Pirates stake to a 7-point lead. 25 combined points between Marshall and East Carolina, a long way from the 2001 GMAC Bowl game when they combined for 125. David Garrard leading East Carolina to a 38-8 halftime lead, but Byron Leftwich and the Thundering Herd come thundering back and eventually win it 64-61, double overtime, the highest scoring bowl game in history. Marshall over East Carolina 64-61. And yeah, you look at the 2008 versions of these teams, quite a bit different.
Well, Carter, and the reason why is look right here at points allowed. East Carolina and Marshall lead the Conference USA in this defensive ranking, and they're doing a great job of it tonight. Only 25 combined points. Both defenses doing a very good job at spots in this ball game. It's going to be the team that can eliminate the mistake and make the big play that will win.
Pinckney stumbles coming away from center and dumps it off to J.R. Kramer for the first catch of the season. Coming up in the 4th quarter, we'll have the Wrangler 5-star play of the game. And with 1:04 left to go in the 3rd 7-point game, have we seen the play of the game yet?
I don't think we have. We saw some early interceptions that have been the story thus far, but something tells me that Marshall has a lot of pride and that they're going to find a way. Remember, this is only a 7-point ball game, even with the missed PATs. At a 7-point ball game, Marshall is well capable of scoring a touchdown and making this thing very interesting.
But first, the Herd defense has to come up with a stop. 2nd down and 7 here. Pinckney sees something in the defense, wants to change the play. Gives it off to Whitley, who has plenty of room. Finally wrestled down by Bembry, close to a first down. He's maybe a yard shy, maybe 2.
That was a great job of execution and blocking. Whitley wasn't touched until, again, he got to the second level. And ECU doing a good job of mixing the run and pass. Early on, they're very, very balanced, doing a much better job than Marshall has. But when you're able to run the football, Carter, it opens up the passing game. And Patrick Pinckney is having a very good night throwing the football.
He's 18 of 25 passing. That will be the end of the third quarter. It's 16-9, East Carolina on Marshall. As we go to the fourth quarter, the top 2 teams in Conference USA's Eastern Division battling it out in the final 15 when we return to Greenville. In the spirit of Blackbeard and the Pirates of old on the Outer Banks of North Carolina, no quarter, no surrender is what the Pirate fans are looking for here in the fourth. 16-9, East Carolina leading Marshall by a touchdown. First play of the fourth quarter will be 3rd down and 2 for the East Carolina offense. Whitley running away from the pressure, stopped short. He's going to be a yard short of the first down as Albert McClellan leads the charge. Mark Snyder's defense comes up with a big stop to begin the fourth quarter.
Carter, and that's exactly what we're talking about. That's exactly what Marshall needed to happen. Their defense stepped up and made a play. ECU's been in the rhythm lately, but they got him out of it. Now they need a big return or a big offensive play, and they are right back in this ball game.
Spann lets it bounce, and now it's going to roll all the way to the 4 before it's finally picked up. Emmanuel Spann let that one hit and roll, and it rolls all the way inside the 5.
You see a very animated Coach Holtz on the sideline, and animated players, they think that it might have touched a Marshall player. See Coach Holtz not happy, very concerned.
It's funny, the East Carolina fans, about half of them were cheering because they downed it inside the 5. Half of them booing because they thought it hit Spann.
It looked really close, like it did hit Spann, Carter, on that last play, but the referees were right on top of it and ruled that it did not, bringing up first down and a very long way to go for a touchdown for the Thundering Herd.
The previous play is being reviewed.
Keep an eye on Spann's left leg right there is what they're looking at. Dakota Marshall being heads up, not sure whether or not he touched it or not, but being safer than sorry and picking the ball up.
I don't think there was anything in that replay that definitively said it went off of Spann. If you'd seen the ball deflect a little bit off his ankle or something along those lines, obviously the ball is close to Emmanuel Spann, but this is obviously from the opposite end zone, but maybe we can take a look.
I agree, it looks very close, but you don't see any deflection or redirection of the football. It has to be definitive, and I would tend to agree. Right there, it looks very close, but maybe credit Spann for being light on his feet and getting out of the way of that football.
Well, both of these scenarios play out well for East Carolina. The worst thing can come out of this is having Marshall pinned back to the 3-yard line. Best you can come out of it is the football at the 3 going into the end zone.
They certainly do have a long way to go. And with the way they've been moving the football, it's going to be a long 96 yards for them to be able to go all the way down and score. But they've had success running the football. But keep an eye there. Looks very close, like it touches Spann's the inside of his left leg. Dakota Marshall being heads up, grabbing the football and wanting a touchdown.
Well, it begins with Emmanuel Spann not coming up to grab the punt.
A lot of times, right there is what they're looking at to see if it touched them there. I just don't see a ball redeflection and don't see anything definitive. And unless they're seeing something very different than what we're seeing from up here, Carter, and what we saw live, I think this is going to be first down and 10 for the Thundering Herd.
And again, this is an official review. It's not a challenge from either team. This would be a heck of a win for Mark Snyder's Marshall team. We mentioned they have not come back to win a game when trailing at the half this season. You know, there was some pressure on Mark Snyder when they went through the 3-game losing streak earlier. They came back with the backs against the wall and beat Houston. But you have to remember that Mark Snyder took over a program. They had NCAA academic violations under previous head coach Bob Pruitt, so the scholarships were just now, in his 4th season, just now back to the full 85 scholarships that a Division I-A program has. So you're seeing a lot more younger players and maybe a better class of player on the field now for Marshall as freshmen and sophomores. Now that you're back to 85, I know that folks are thinking about 2009 with some optimism around the Thundering Herd program, and they're even 3-1 in conference, maybe a year ahead of schedule, especially if they can get a win tonight.
Yeah, Carter, there's no question that the deck was certainly stacked against Snyder and what it is when he took over this program, but he's no stranger to what it takes to be successful, and he's done a good job of bringing his team in and not letting them get taken away from him, and won 3 of 4 national championships when he was at Youngstown State between 1991 and 1994. So he knows how to win football games and knows what it takes. And now that you're back up to speed and have full scholarships and have the 85, it allows you to be able to be more competitive.
After review, the play calls a stand. Marshall's ball, first down.
It could have hit off Spann, but obviously, as we thought, there was no clear replay saying that it went off the Spann.
A lot of times on special teams, when the ball's like that, you'll hear guys say, Peter, 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 Peter. That's the hot word, that the ball's on the ground and you must get rid of it. Spann does a good job of jumping out of the way in the football, but the bottom line is he's going to get an earful from his coach because he shouldn't have been that close for that very reason. Balls take squirrely bounces, and even if you think it's nowhere near you, the only way to be sure is to get as far away from the football as you can. Spann got very lucky on that play.
Marshall's average field position starting at the 31. This time they start at the 3. With the crowd doing everything it can to distract him. Darius Marshall the first down give, and he leans for a 2, maybe 3-yard gain.
Creating a little bit of breathing room. One of the things you want to be able to do, you maybe want to come out and do a play action pass and maybe take a shot right out of the gate, but then that would have brought up an incompletion, a 2nd and 10. So getting a good belly zone up inside, getting some positive breathing room, getting away from that goal line to avoid the safety is probably what's on Marshall's mind. They get a big chunk or a first down right here, they'll be off and running.
Can back to pass on 2nd and 7. The pump, the toss, and the incomplete pass. Intended for E.J. Wynn.
This play was a little bit forced. Good job by the cornerback there. Travis Simmons staying with him. The safety, J.J. Millbrook, coming over the top to be able to help. But at the bottom of the screen, Darius Passmore looked like he was wide open. Marquand may have missed a very big opportunity there offensively, throwing to the wrong side of the field.
With the way Can's thrown the football, do you pass here even though it's 3rd down, or do you just run and get some space?
Well, if you do, you throw it to 85.
Can looking long for Passmore. He has to come back to get it, but he holds it in for a huge gain into East Carolina territory. Penalty flag on the play at the end of the play.
Well, Carter, I think you answered your own question there. That's something we haven't seen of a whole lot of tonight. Might have been excessive celebration after the play in which the catch would stand and the ball would just be moved back. Flag came in very late.
We have no flag on the play for taunting. No flag.
I think that's the right call.
I do, absolutely. I think the referees have kind of overcorrected and oversteered trying to eliminate it, but Marquand does a good job of throwing the ball up, but the credit goes to Darius Passmore on the slant route, doing a great job of beating one-on-one coverage out on the edge and getting the better of Travis Simmons there.
Chubb Small trying to bounce it out, shoved out. A 51-yard pass play there from Marquand to Darius Passmore. That changes the dynamics. I mean, you usually talk about a special teams play flipping the field, but that 51-yard pass play flips it for Marshall.
I tell you what, keep a look at the right of your screen. Darius Passmore doing a good job selling the out route, but just the safety bites on the inside, leaving one-on-one coverage for Darius Passmore as he jets inside the middle of the field for the wide open 50-yard plus play. And now, just like I told you, Carter, Marshall has an opportunity to score and be right back inside this ball game.
Play fake on second down, the check down to a dragging E.J. Wynn for minimal gain. As we check in with New York at the CBS College Sports Desk.
All right, Carter, thank you very much. A check on number 3, Penn State. Iowa got within 2, then turned it over, and Derek Williams takes advantage. One cut, and he's in. Penn State leading 23-14 in the fourth. Penn State with the ball right now.
Adam here in Greenville, North Carolina. It's a 16-9 East Carolina lead on Marshall. The Thundering Herd have 3rd down and 8. Marquand has completed only 8 passes tonight. Make it 9 as he dumps it down to Darius Marshall, who's shoved back. Emmanuel Davis leading the East Carolina defense on the 3rd down stop.
I tell you what, Emmanuel Davis is having a heck of a ball game, a heck of a last 2 ball games. The young freshman showing up, making plays, and Chris Maddox there, taking a look at him. He's playing some good football, too. He's a backup at a New Bern, North Carolina. Just a junior. That was his 10th tackle on the year and made it an important one. Huge 3rd down play.
Just the 2nd punt of the night for Marshall. Whitehead, the true freshman from Maryville, Tennessee. Gets a good one off. Fair catch called for, fumble, looks like it's recovered by Darrell Freeney. And it is. East Carolina keeps it after the bobbled punt. 11-17 to go, 7-point game. Darius Passmore, who had that 51-yard catch on the last Marshall possession, being checked out now by the Marshall training staff. Look at the Energizer game summary now. The passing yards big time in East Carolina's favor, but look at Darius Marshall with 99 rushing yards now for the Thundering Herd, leading their impressive ground game.
Well, the ground game's been certainly what's been keeping Marshall in this ball game. And those 2 early turnovers that you look at right there really have cost Marshall the ability to be able to have a little bit more points in this ball game. But you have to be able to credit the adjustments that the defense made for the Pirates in the second half, because right now Marshall hadn't been able to get as much going offensively as they did in the first half.
Play fake on first down. That one just a hair off on the timing. Incomplete to Taylor as we check in again with the CBS College Sports Desk.
All right, Carter, thanks. Number 1, Bama back on top for the first time since it was 7-0 after a 24-yard run. Glenn Coffey following Andre Smith into the end zone. And the Tide leads in the Bayou 21-14. Remember the SEC postgame show at 7 Eastern.
Wanted to talk about on that SEC postgame show, including the shocking result in Knoxville, Wyoming, beating the Tennessee Volunteers. More on that coming up after the ball game as Whitley gets that one in the flat. Well, the time of possession big time in favor of Marshall, but maybe from the Kevin Sumlin school of thought, it doesn't matter all that much.
Yeah, time of possession a lot of times doesn't mean anything. As you take a look at there, Marshall dominating, and that's because of their run game, but it's been turnovers that have been the story. We talked about that at the beginning of the game. You have to bring your defense and protect the football, and thus far, Marshall has done one of those 2 things, and they got to get their pass game going, something they did on that last drive, but they weren't able to finish.
3rd down and short. Pinckney pressured, finds his check down, Brandon Simmons, who's close to the first down. Pinckney just kind of flipped it out there at the last second and may end up with a first down.
Corey Hart doing a good job for Marshall responding to that play, and good protection up front for Patrick Pinckney, and nobody was open, so he throws the ball to the check down, hitting Simmons out in the flat and making the first down. But Marshall's defense is well aware with their big front and their very active linebacker crew, able to make a play, but they've got to cause a turnover here, do something to get ECU out of its rhythm.
It's been all Patrick Pinckney at quarterback. Play action on first down, time to throw. Pinckney looking long for TJ Lee, who hauls it in to the Marshall 35. Biggest pass play of the day from Patrick Pinckney.
Carter, earlier in the game, you asked me how you beat your blitz. Brandon Simmons doing a good job of picking the cornerback that blitz on the outside. Safety late getting over. TJ Lee doing a good job of getting behind the coverage and behind the safety. And let me tell you what, Patrick Pinckney threw that ball on a dime. Very accurate deep ball hitting TJ Lee in stride. Great job for a guy who last week didn't look nearly as consistent as he's playing tonight.
41-yard pickup on the play to TJ Lee. Pinckney keeps it on first down. Picks up a couple before Bembry makes the stop. Pinckney slow getting up. RJ DeTillier, the referee, helps him back to his feet.
Tell you what, these two teams are playing very physical. Pinckney calls his own number. Good aggressive block on the outside by the tight end, Devon Drew, but Pinckney only able to get 3 or 4 yards, and there's a little mojo after the play and giving them business. It's been that type of game, Carter. Pretty physical.
Saw offensive coordinator Todd Fitch before the game, East Carolina, and he said, I think we're going to have a physical one today, one way or the other. Second down, Pinckney to the air again, completes it to Joe Womack, who makes another nice grab to put East Carolina in the red zone to the 16.
Pinckney doing a great job of throwing the football, threading it in between the zone. 3 Marshall defenders around Joe Womack, the young freshman who comes up with another big catch. That's the sign of a confident quarterback when he throws that ball and it's got zip on it into coverage like that into the zone. It's the sign of a guy who's feeling good. And Patrick Pinckney, with the way he's played tonight, should feel very good about how he's thrown the football.
7th play of the drive is a first down carry for Whitley, who gets dropped in the backfield. Daquan Bembry makes a stop.
Well, that's classic Rick Minner defense, bringing the cornerbacks up and causing pressure. They know that with a 7-point lead and just a little under 8 minutes in this 4th quarter that ECU is going to try and run the football, so they took a chance there and a little bit more aggressive on the outside edge, but they got to be careful as we see Devon Drew lined out on the short side of the field, one-on-one without very much safety help. We'll see what he's able to do, but ECU throwing the football.
Pinckney finds Whitley on the shovel or the screen, one way or the other. He gets to the 15. Now Marshall thinks it comes away with the football. Some of the Marshall coaches are literally jumping up and down thinking they came up with it, and they did. Fumble taken over by Marshall.
Great job by the defense of the Thundering Herd. That's exactly what they need. Clearly the ball is out before his knee hits the ground. Thundering Herd, the green wave around the football. Mario Harvey coming up with the football. Great fumble recovery. Carter, when you're on the road, you have to bring your defense, and what better way to make up for turnovers than to force them? And in the red zone of all places, great job by the Thundering Herd defense. It's going to be a simple middle screen or bubble screen. They throw it in the inside, but they swarm to the football, and it was that last hit right there by Albert McClellan. They're going to take a look at this upstairs, but great job.
Skip Holtz was waiting to see.
East Carolina, their first timeout. This will be a media timeout.
Skip Holtz was waiting to see if they would take a look at it upstairs. Instead, he takes a timeout. We will take another look at that ruling, which was called a fumble. Let's take take a look at the play that was called a fumble. I think the only question is, was Norman Whitley's forward progress stopped? And we certainly didn't hear a whistle.
Certainly didn't hear a whistle up top, and credit Maurice Kitchens, the first one to the football, and right there at the very end, Albert McClellan, the defensive end, coming by and knocking that ball free. From here, I got to be honest, doesn't look good for the Pirates. It looks like the football comes out pretty early. Clearly, the ball is out and on the ground before his knee is down.
The play on the field is confirmed. A fumble. Marshall recovering. First down. East Carolina is charged a timeout.
Wow. That's a huge play by that Thundering Herd defense. Great job by them forcing the fumble on a relatively safe play. Rarely will you see a turnover on that because the ball doesn't have to get thrown that far. It's usually batted down or thrown into the ground, but it was completed. Norman Whitley unfortunately couldn't hang on to it. And the reason he couldn't is because he had a herd of Thundering Herds around him that forced it free. So now the pressure and the question is whether this young man, Mark Cann, the quarterback, can respond. Plenty of time, a 7-point ball game. Can they march the field? Can they throw the football? We know that they've been able to run it. Do they have what it takes to go the length of the field with Conference USA Eastern Division leadership on the line?
A Marshall team which is won just once away from Huntington, West Virginia, looking for a huge road win here. That pass incomplete, intended for Emmanuel Spann on first down. An aggressive play call on 1st and 10.
Very aggressive. It was a seam right, and Emmanuel Spann lost his footing. Couldn't really sit down and fumble the football, but good job by Mark Cann hanging in there with the big hit by the linebacker coming up the middle of the defense and bringing the wood, but good moxie and toughness by the young freshman quarterback.
Cann has just completed 9 passes. He's 9 of 18 on the day. Plenty of time to throw on 2nd and 10, intended for Passmore, batted away by Dakota Marshall. As Passmore was trying to come back to the football.
Dakota Marshall did a great job of being in coverage. He smelled that right away. Passmore does a good job of running the quarter route. But Marshall sitting there makes a play on the ball, and that young man, barring the personal foul penalty of hitting Cann out of bounds late, has played a tremendous ball game. This defensive backfield for ECU has shown up and played tremendously tonight.
A huge 3rd down and 10 play. Marshall trailing by 7 with 7:16 to go. Cann on 3rd and 10 completes it to his tight end, Cody Slate. Move the chains. Marshall's hope is alive.
Credit Cann for tremendous presence to be able to stay in that pocket. Defensive end Zach Slate for ECU is going to be there right at the end. Hits him right as he throws the football, but he had the patience to stay in there and deliver the football for the first down. That's rare to see that out of a young freshman quarterback, to have the presence of mind to sit in that pocket, knowing he's going to take the hit and deliver the football accurately.
Marshall forced into throwing on 3rd down. They complete it. The pump on 1st down looking long for Marshall again, and Darius Marshall nearly comes up with a great grab. Emmanuel Davis in coverage.
And then a freshman quarterback will also do that, which is play up for grabs on the sideline into double coverage, something that we saw them do earlier in the night. And that's what you're going to get out of a young freshman quarterback, is some good and some bad, but thus far I think Mark Cann's done a relatively decent job for being on the road in a hostile environment with the crowd going crazy, bringing up a big 2nd and long situation. They've got to be able to get something going offensively here, and if they're going to do it, make no mistake about it, Mark Cann's going to have to make a play.
Darius Marshall, the 2nd down carry, bounces it back, picks up the 1st down and more. Darius says, I am Marshall.
Great job again. credit Darius Marshall and that offensive line doing a good job of blowing those guys out. Marshall doing a good job of keeping his legs pumping and refusing to be taken down. Good job. Once he gets to the second level, he refuses to get taken down, keeps his leg moving, using tremendous quickness. He's so small that sometimes he gets hidden behind that offensive line, but make no mistake, those big guys up front are doing their job.
Marshall gets the first down carry and gets it across midfield to the 49. With the clock rolling to 6 minutes in a 7-point game.
Carter, there were about 17 missed tackles on that previous long run that Marshall had. ECU's going to have to shore that up. They can ill afford to give a big run away. You remember, you go back to that Virginia game, they had 2 missed tackles that allowed big long runs that cost them the ball game. They can't afford to have that happen again here tonight.
Somebody in the neutral zone, but he got back. It was Zach Slate leaning in. He got back, the pass complete, bringing up another big third down.
Third downs is seemingly what this game has been about. This is a tremendous football game. Both these teams are playing their hearts out. Very well coached, very aggressive, very physical. We knew coming in this ball game that it was going to be physical, and you got to take your hat off to 2 teams that have so much on the line, that are coming off losing streaks, that have had up and down years with some good and some bad. This is a huge game and a huge play in the 4th quarter for both of these teams.
Third down and 4 with Can out of the shotgun. Pirates show pressure up the middle and now back off, allowing Can to fling it to the sideline. Incomplete. Intended for Milligan. Decision time now for Marshall. 4:50 left. Are you in 4-down territory?
Well, I don't know if you are, but the way your offense is playing, they're bringing on their punt team, but credit defensive coordinator Greg Hudson from the ECU for sending pressure that time. Number 19, Chris Maddox from the linebacker position hit Mark Can just as he was throwing, making sure that the ball was errant and uncatchable out there on the edge. A very aggressive third down play for the Pirates paid off.
Whitehead will punt to Freeney. The 3 backs to protect against the punt block. Short kick by Whitehead will take a Marshall bounce to roll inside the 20. They down it with 4 minutes, 40 seconds showing on the clock. East Carolina, the lead and the ball. Sandra Bullock's alma mater, East Carolina University, with the lead on Billy Crystal's former school, Marshall University, 16-9. Top 2 teams in Conference USA's Eastern Division. A year ago, Mark Snyder's herd knocked East Carolina off the track to the CUSA championship game. They would love to make it to the championship game themselves. 4:40 to go in the 4th. 7-point East Carolina game. Pirates have the football, meaning Marshall has to come up with a stop.
Well, hey, they did it last time, and if I was Coach Snyder, that's exactly what I would be talking to my team about. Hey, we have to force turnovers. We have to find a way to make a play. It can happen on special teams with a big hit. It can happen on defense with a turnover or a fumble. We did it before. We can do it again. Marshall's no stranger to being in adverse situations, but with only a 7-point ball game, Carter, they are well within it. They have to play confident and expect to make a big play because ECU has proven that it can turn the football over.
Pirates quick snap it coming out of the timeout. Marshall appears ready, though. McClellan stops Brandon Simmons for a yard, maybe 2 on first down.
ECU certainly wants to bleed this clock out a little over 4 minutes. They're in what you call a 4-minute offense, and this is why when you have a lead, you want to be able to try and run the football and take as much time off the clock as you can. The good news for Marshall is they should be able to know what's coming, and barring something crazy where they do a play-action pass, Marshall has a chance to be able to stop, turn this ball over in downs, and get the hands back on their offense.
They may have taken too much time here. The play clock hit zeros, no flag. They got it off. Simmons on the second down carry is dragged down, bringing up 3rd down and long after a couple of solid plays by the Marshall defense.
Carter, that's something we haven't talked a whole lot about, is the speed of that Marshall defense. But when you take a look at the plays that ECU has run tonight, it's been tremendous. You look at the play clock here, 2-1. Oh, very, very close.
Maybe 0.4 on the play clock as they snap it.
The refs are usually on it. They didn't call it. It probably didn't happen, but that's a little too close for comfort.
3rd down and 8. Marshall has to get a stop. The rollout from Pinckney on 3rd and 8. Throws it out of bounds, incomplete. The Thundering Herd come up with the defensive stop they needed with 3:04 to go in the 4th.
I tell you what, Carter, take a look at right here, the receiver, Dwayne Harris. The safety comes down a little bit late. Patrick Pinckney making the decision to be better safe than sorry and throwing it away. It's a good call, 3rd and long. But the way that ECU's defense has been playing the second half, you're much better off with them on the field trying to stop Marshall's offense than you are creating a big turnover deep in your side of the field.
Remember, the last punt was the wacky one that Spann dropped. He nearly drops this one. Manages to cover it up and ventures in the kicking game for Emmanuel Spann. So Marshall gets the football, trailing by 7, 2:56 to go. Can Marshall mount a game-tying drive? College football on CBS College Sports has been brought to you by Wrangler, makers of Wrangler 5-star premium denim jeans. And by Miller High Life, good honest beer at a tasty price. That's ice cold common sense. It's a 7-point game with 2 minutes 56 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter. Mark Cann needs to lead a touchdown drive. But before the drive, we take a look at our Bud Light Stat 6-pack. Rushing yards in favor of Marshall. And with 2:56, you do have time to establish the run on this drive, don't you?
There's no question, and timeouts are certainly in Marshall's favor. They have 3 still. With the way they've been able to run the football and protect the line of scrimmage, I would expect them, with only 60 yards to go, to get into the end zone, to run the football at some point. But Carter, they're going to have to throw at some point on this drive, and that's something they just haven't been able to do well.
Pressure coming from the Pirates. Cann has to get rid of it too quickly. Incomplete for Darius Marshall.
Pirate defense showing pressure again. Zach Slate doing a good job of being right in Mark Cann's face right as he's throwing the football, which is a good thing because Brandon Simmons had a lot of room to run out there in that flat had Cann been able to get him the football. Brings up 2nd and 10.
So a Marshall offensive unit, which has averaged nearly 5 yards a carry on the ground today. Throwing on 1st down, Cann out of the shotgun on 2nd down. Pressured and sacked by Zach Slate at the 35 with the clock rolling.
That's old number 41, Zach Slate, the lightning of what they call Lumber and Lightning. Look at the top of your screen, beating freshman C.J. Wood on the inside rip move for the sack. Huge play by the Pirate defense, and that's Slate's 4.5 sacks on the year for him because of moves like that. Slate is the 2nd lightest player in NCAA behind Akron. Has another sophomore, Sean Lemon, who's listed at 220. Great job for 220-pound defensive end.
3rd and 16, Cann to Passmore. Incomplete and no flag. Lockdown coverage from Emmanuel Davis.
Emmanuel Davis showing up huge again, running stride for stride with Passmore. Passmore had his hands on this ball. He could have came down with it as Davis falls a little bit, but Passmore's going to know that he missed a tremendous opportunity right there, but you got to credit great coverage by Emmanuel Davis.
So with 3 timeouts in his pocket, Mark Snyder says, let's punt it away and try and stop him as quickly as we did the last time. Remember that's a 3 timeouts left for Mark Snyder. So well, he can stop it.
No question, and it's 4th and 15, and with the ball the way it is, a turnover on downs at this point in the field would assuredly end the game. At least this way you have the possibility of creating a turnover on maybe a bobbled fair catch or something, center quarterback exchange, or maybe just defense making a play. You have 3 timeouts, so that's a great call.
Freeney backed up to the 17.
Take a job and look at Slater here on the left of your screen. He'll come in late with a big sack. They call him Lightning with Lumber because he's quick. C.J. Wilson on the other side, who's more of the big guy that brings the wood. But these two guys, look at the difference in that. Zach Slate playing Division I-A football at 220 pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, there is not very few players in college football that could be able to do their job and do it as effectively as Zach Slate with a frame like his. But the senior is tenacious, has a motor that won't stop, and that's the reason why he's a tremendous playmaker and leader for this defense.
Pinckney on the first down draw. Timeout Marshall. Mark Snyder
Timeout.
thinks.
Marshall, they're first. 30-second timeout.
Thinks maybe a few seconds ticked off. Couple extra seconds ticked off. So Mark Snyder takes the first of his 3 timeouts. 1:53 to go. The top 2 teams in Conference USA. East Carolina has only lost once at home. Marshall has only won 1 game on the road this year. And here we are locked in a 7-point game with 1:53. It is East Carolina football. Marshall needs a stop. They have 2 timeouts left to stop the clock.
Well, for the stat junkies out there, we said that Marshall's 0-4 on the year when they've trailed at halftime. And in this series that dates back to 1967, Marshall has never beaten ECU in Greenville. And if ECU can convert this first down and eat these timeouts up that Marshall has, that trend will hold true.
2nd down and 6, running it again. Simmons slips out of the first tackle. Marshall takes its 2nd timeout.
2nd timeout. 30-second timeout.
You look at the remaining schedules for these teams. East Carolina goes to Southern Miss, goes to UAB. Those teams both down. And then closing out with UTEP. That is what you would typically say is a winnable schedule down the stretch. Marshall has a tougher road with UCF, last year's East Division champ, at Rice, and then versus Tulsa, the 2 best teams in the West.
There's no question if ECU wins this ball game, they've got to feel very good about turning things around mid-season. They had all the injuries, all the expectations early. They've got a much easier road down the stretch. And you have to wonder if Marshall loses this ball game, whether or not with the tough games that they have ahead, whether or not they'll fall apart or whether or not their pride will kick in. And you know Mark Schneider, as good of a coach as he is, will be able to hold this team together. But when you lose a tough ball game on the road with the division on the line, there's still lots to play for. But a lot of times, young players they don't realize that.
3rd down and 2, Simmons is stopped.
Marshall, timeout. Their last. 30-second timeout.
Carter, we talked about needing to step up and make plays. Defensive line of Marshall doing a good job of stopping up the gaps, not giving any room to run. C.J. Spillman coming up and making a great play, preventing Brandon Simmons from getting any yardage, bringing up a 4th and very short. I would have to think ECU would think punt at this juncture if they don't get the first down.
They will measure. Out come the sticks for a critical measurement. That's short.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think the call is to punt it away and let your defense that's been playing so good in the second half, particularly against the pass, put the ball game in their hands.
And obviously Marshall down by 7, a field goal does them no good. So the Thundering Herd would have about 90 seconds needing a touchdown. Now the last Marshall points were on the first drive of the second half. The only touchdown drive of the game from Marshall, which ended in the canned TD pass to Cody Slate. Since then, it's been 3 straight punts from the Marshall offense.
Well, that's what Carolina does. They're first in the Conference USA in points allowed with 24 per game. They've done a very good job
Sprinting out of the timeout. East Carolina brings the punt unit on. Marshall able to get in a terrible punt from Dodge. It's out of bounds. Where did it go out? Maybe near the 40. Terrible punt by Matt Dodge.
Wow. Carter, that is as big as a turnover. The ball just not hit very well. He knows it right away. He sees that it was a shank. He has to feel terrible. And look at the reaction by Mark Snyder. He knows that that's the chance that Marshall, his team, has needed. That's what's great about football. One play can make a difference. We talked about eliminating the mistake. That was a huge mistake by the Pirates special teams.
15-yard punt sets up 1st and 10. The little hook and ladder, Darius Marshall fumbles it out of bounds. Popped by Johnson. Darius Marshall fumbles, but it trickles out.
Great job by Nick Johnson coming up, number 44.
The ball was fumbled forward and out of bounds. It's brought in back to the spot of the fumble by Rule.
Great call, great execution, but a better defensive play by Nick Johnson. But Marshall knows how close and what's on the line for them to do here. Carter, this is a very interesting last drive of this ball game.
34 yards, a minute 27. Before this play, they didn't even need that. Zach Slate running down the seam. Touchdown, Marshall. A PAT away from tying it.
This is exactly what we talked about. When Marshall's needed to make plays throwing the football, they throw it to number 85, their go-to guy who's come up huge tonight. Had the earlier touchdown, and he's there again for young freshman quarterback Mark Cann and the rest of this Thundering Herd team. Carter, remember the missed field goals and extra points early in this ball game. Had they not missed those, they would be winning this ball game, and that would have been a walk-off score. But tremendous play offensively by the Marshall Herd.
Ratanamorn gets this PAT tied at 16 on a day that began with 2 interceptions from Mark Cann in the first half, 2 touchdown passes in the second half. We're tied with a minute 21.
Great pass by the lefty, putting the ball on the money to Slate, the tight end, who does a good job of getting behind the coverage, beating Chris Maddox, the backup linebacker, one-on-one right down the seam. Great call, great execution, great time and pass protection, and that's how you win ball games. You can't give up. You always have to think that there's a chance to win, and that's a beautiful thing about this sport, Carter. You're always one play away from winning or losing, and right here late, Marshall found a way to get themselves back in this ball game.
Now, obviously, Mark Snyder's team takes that lesson to heart about playing till the end. Still a minute 21 now. Marshall doesn't have any timeouts. East Carolina has 2. So the Pirates will get the football. And obviously, they don't need a touchdown. They need a field goal to win this game in the last minute 21 of regulation.
There's no question, and if this goes into halftime, this will be the 2nd week in a row that East Carolina has been in halftime. You remember overtime, excuse me. You remember that game last week against UCF, Conference USA's best rush defense, and did such a good job running the football. But both of these teams have made errors tonight that have been costly, and right now, with the Conference USA East Division on the line, we're tied at 16 with just over a minute left.
Tyler Warner kicks it away. TJ Lee on the return for East Carolina. Tripped up and then brought down at the 23. So for the Pirates, 1 minute 14 seconds left, 2 timeouts. And they'll have to go 77 yards to the end zone or get in field goal range. And there's an injured player on the field. Now, I believe it's TJ Lee, the return man, and it is.
A senior out of Raleigh, North Carolina, averages 15 yards a catch and does a pretty good job for them on special teams, and good job keeping his balance there. But as he comes down, his leg and ankle just gets caught up underneath the defender that brings him down, and the ball squirts out late.
Well, yeah, the biggest play of the year for East Carolina on special teams. He had the punt block versus Virginia Tech to set up the game winner in the opener. So as TJ Lee limps to the sideline, we check in with the CBS College Sports Desk.
And you'll know in a moment if this one's good. High snap. Kick is on the way. It is good.
24-23, the final from Big Ten country. Back to you.
Wow. Well, we could have a potential field goal just like that here in Greenville, North Carolina. We're tied at 16, a minute 14. TJ Lee being helped off the field. You go back to Ben Hartman, whose career long is 52. Earlier in this game, this is from 51. So the range is there for Ben Hartman in the East Carolina kicking game. He can pull that one off again. East Carolina wins it. So maybe drive it to about the 35 before you think about the game winner for Ben Hartman. He had a game-winning kick to beat UCF in OT last week. Game-winning kick to beat North Carolina here last year.
Carter, that's only about 20-25 yards to be able to do that. A minute 15 or 14 is plenty of time to be able to cross midfield.
Pinckney pressure, throws complete to Devon Drew, who crosses midfield on the first down catch and run.
We joked at the beginning of this ball game with Devon Drew and Cody Slate. Was it going to be the battle of the tight ends? Both of these guys have showed up huge tonight for their teams and have been the outlet and go-to guy for both quarterbacks. Great job by Drew on that play, moving the chains.
Pinckney hands off on first down. It's Brandon Simmons. And you're about 10 yards away from Ben Hartman's field goal range, maybe even closer. About 8 yards away from Hartman's field goal range. Clock ticking. Pinckney out of the shotgun on second down. He'll roll, he'll throw, and incomplete, which stops the clock with 34 seconds left. East Carolina does have 2 timeouts.
That's not a bad play, Carter. Brings up a decision, though. It's a huge third down. We know how big third downs have played a role, but it may come down to a huge field goal for the East Carolina Pirates.
That's the 30-yard line, 35-yard line, which would make it a 52-yard kick, which is Hartman's career long. He had a 51-yarder earlier. On third down, Pinckney completes it on the slant. First down and more as Daryl Freeney makes the grab to the 32.
Great patience and protection by Pinckney to sit in the pocket and deliver the football. Daryl Freeney does a good job on the inside slant, converting the third down. Pirates are perilously close to scoring and getting into field goal range on the herd.
Under 20 seconds remaining. Pinckney to the air for Drew, incomplete. Stopping the clock with 15 seconds. Now, 2 timeouts, 15 seconds. Do you take the shots to the end zone or do you set up a field goal?
Well, I think you try and get as much yardage as you can, but you have some options there, because if you throw the ball to the middle of the field, you have timeouts to be able to call. You need at least 1 timeout on the final play of the game so that you can get your field goal team out onto the field. But ECU's had a lot of success getting the ball to the corner and to the outside sides of the field. They've also been able to come around and throw it inside. But right now, the Thundering Herd has to defend the entire field because of the timeout situation.
Simmons, the second down carry. Clock rolling under 10 seconds. Now East Carolina has to take a timeout with 9 ticks left.
East Carolina, their second 30-second timeout.
Pretty conservative play call on that last one. I thought they might have tried to put the ball in the air and throw a safe route to eat up a bigger chunk of yardage. Now you're in a 3rd and 5 situation. The ball's on the 26, and you'd certainly like to not test all of the leg of your kicker and get a little bit closer.
If you kick from right here, it's a 43-yarder. And usually in this situation, you don't look much at down, but this is 3rd down. So if you run it on 3rd down, take that second timeout, you're kicking on 4th down. with virtually no time on the clock.
What an incredible ball game this has been. ECU rushing up to the line of scrimmage.
Third down, Pinckney keeps it. He takes a knee. They'll set up for the game-winning kick. Clock ticking down, and there's Skip Holtz's timeout. He had set that up with the officiating crew.
Their last 30-second timeout.
So with 3 seconds left, it's going to come down to a Ben Hartman kick to whether East Carolina wins it or whether we go to overtime.
What do you think Skip Holtz is saying to Ben Hartman right now?
Oh, this would be a 43-yard kick right from the middle of the field. He's already made a 51-yarder just a week ago. He had the game-winning kick versus UCF. Neither team has a timeout, so Marshall can't ice Ben Hartman here. It's just lining up, snap it, hold it, kick it.
You saw that big smile on Skip Holtz's face. One of the ways that he tries to relax his kickers is that they make them exchange jokes. Skip tells Ben Hartman a joke and Ben tells Skip a joke. That's the way that they try and relax, because there's no question the Conference USA Championship is on the line with this kick.
42-yard kick from Hartman is no good. No good. We're going to overtime. The 42-yard kick is just wide left.
This was it for the Conference USA Championship. A walk-off field goal. Ben Hartman just sends it out left. Had the huge field goal earlier in the game. As you see Marshall run off the field, knowing that they have been breathed into the life of a second chance. ECU missing a tremendous opportunity, but this game is not over. ECU's defense has been playing very well, and it's going to come down to who can play the most consistent football, establish a run game, and not make a mistake in overtime. This is the second week in a row that ECU has been in overtime, which I think is an advantage to them because they have the confidence of being able to remember back to last week when they found a way to win.
And of course, in every situation like this, Ben Hartman getting consolation from his teammates. He knows and they know, hey, you just missed a 42-yarder, but we're going to overtime. He's likely going to have a chance to kick with the game on the line again.
There's no question he is, and there's no question that this Marshall team is feeling pretty dang good about their ability to come on a road to a place they've never played with so much on the line and still be in this thing and take it to overtime. They struggled throwing the football early in this game, but now found a way to get right back in it.
Each team has one timeout. I will flip the coin. This is tails, that is heads. The winner must choose an option. What is the call, Marshall? He's calling tails. It's heads. You want defense. Which end we playing this?
You want to go that way.
Marshall will take the ball at the 25-yard line. First down.
16-all at the end of regulation. Overtime is next. At a sold-out Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium in Greenville, North Carolina, we're headed to overtime. 16-all between Marshall and East Carolina. Think of the overtime essentially as like a baseball inning. There's a top and there's a bottom half. Offense starts at the opponent's 25-yard line. Critical coin toss there favoring East Carolina. They play defense first, meaning that when East Carolina gets the football, they'll know whether they need a field goal or a touchdown to try and win the game or tie it. This would be a monumental win for Mark Snyder and his Marshall program.
There's no question, Carter. He took over a program that was hurting, didn't have full scholarships, and to be able to win on the road against a formidable opponent and sit in first place the Conference USA Eastern Division would be huge, not only for this season, but for this program. Young people around the country looking at what Marshall's doing, this would be a statement game for the Thundering Herd.
Screen on first down and 10. The toss back to Ken is batted down. Zach Slate gets a hand on it. They toss it to Milligan, who tries to toss back to Can.
Creative play by the Thundering Herd, but Zach Slade is all over it. In overtime, I guess you find yourself in this ball game, all bets are off, and you go to whatever it is you want to do, but a throwback pass to Mark Ham, that's one way to move the football through the air, but didn't work and fool the Pirates at all on that one.
Second down and 10. Can, the more conventional pass on second down, completing it to Chubb Small out of the backfield. Remember last Sunday at Orlando, by the way, that pass is ruled incomplete, so it's third down and 10. Last Sunday at Orlando, overtime, East Carolina got a turnover to start the overtime and then kick the game-winning field goal.
And it was Emmanuel Davis, the young freshman, that came up and made that tremendous play and has showed up all tonight, but it's been this ECU defense that has done such a good job of keeping them in this ball game. Huge third down. Marshall desperately needs and is more than capable of making.
Slate brings the pressure, knocks Can as he throws it incomplete on third down. Meaning Marshall will have to attempt a 42-yard field goal.
Carter, great players make great plays and great games, and Zach Slade is one of those. Gets to Mark Can, beating the offensive tackle, the young freshman, C.J. Wood, to get around the edge and hit Can just as he throws for the incomplete. Now putting a lot of pressure on Craig Rattenamron, who's got to kick this field goal.
And how about this? It's Tyler Warner who comes out for the attempt. It's not Rattanamorn, it's Warner. And his kick is no good. The 42-yarder no good. Tyler Warner comes out for the kick instead of Craig Rattanamorn, who had missed a 26-yarder in a PAT.
Another mistake by this Thundering Herd special teams. Another missed kick, something that has plagued them throughout this whole game. You can ill afford to not be able to convert those plays, especially with the way ECU's offense has been moving the football. But Carter, make no mistake about it, a field goal isn't good. They need to punch this ball in and not put the pressure on the kicking game.
Pinkney throwing it on first down. It's Dwayne Harris with room to run on the screen. Harris inside the 15. Move the chains on the screen from Pinkney to Harris.
That's what Harris talked about. He wanted the ball in his hands. That's the second time that they've gone to that play out in the flat on the quick screen. He's such a tremendous playmaker. Does a great job of beating the coverage, making the Thundering Herd defense miss tackles in the open field, and right now the Pirates have to feel very good and confident and know that they are 12 yards away from sitting atop the Conference USA Eastern Division.
Remember, all East Carolina needs is a field goal. So Pinkney handing off to Whitley on first down. He picks up a couple. Last Sunday, this has been Hartman in overtime against UCF. The game winner to lead the comeback win, a 13-10 overtime win in Central Florida. Hartman will have another chance to win in an overtime if his teammates can hang on to the football. That's the only thing that was separating the Pirates from a game-winning kick.
Well, they're close, and sometimes the tendency is to feel good that you have the game in the bag and there's a letdown, but that big offensive line needs to move the pile and get this first down.
Whitley leans forward. He'll get to the 8, bring it up third down. Now, the thinking changes here between coaches as to whether you snap it and kick it on third down just in case you have a bad snap, or whether you run it to the middle of the field on third down to set up the fourth down kick.
My guess is they're going to run the football. They've done a relatively good job of protecting it, except for that one Whitley fumble that they had on the screen pass. But with the way that they've been able to run the football late in this ball game, and with Norman Whitley back there, my guess is they're going to do exactly this, and Pinckney's going to get to the middle of the field.
Well, going back to last season, Ben Hartman, game-winning kicks against North Carolina, against Boise State and Hawaii in the bowl game. Then last week, the game-winning kick versus UCF. At the end of regulation, he had a 42-yarder that was no good.
Now, we said that Coach Holtz and Hartman would exchange jokes. Do you think they've ever had to go too deep into their joke bag?
They did it last year against North Carolina, I know, when Butch Davis tried to ice him. 27-yard field goal for the win in OT. And speaking of icing,
timeout.
And here you take a look at Coach Holtz.
Timeout.
Coach Holtz walking out to talk to.
He's going to have to go
Ben
3
Hartman.
deep. He's going to have to call his dad Lou to get another one from the banquet circuit.
And I tell you what,
Marshall, of course, Skip Holtz, the son of Lou, and Aaron Taylor, my broadcast partner, Lombardi Award winner.
Greg Hudson, the defensive coordinator from the Pirates, was a GA for the offensive line when I was there as well. So any way you cut this up, there's a lot of Notre Dame ties, and both coaching staffs would feel very good with Rick Minter for Marshall and Skip Holtz and Greg Hudson for the job that they've done for their teams. But let's see just how good that joke was that Ben Hartman told.
For the game-winning 27-yarder. Spot on. East Carolina wins it for the second straight week. It's an overtime win for the East Carolina Pirates. Conference play alone atop Conference USA's Eastern Division. After he missed the 42-yarder at the end of regulation, Ben Hartman is the hero in overtime. The fourth game-winning kick of his Pirate career. And now our DirecTV player of the game. It was Emmanuel Davis who had those 2 interceptions, the first 2 drives of the game. And he had 6 key tackles in the game as well.
Tremendous. Last week he, of course, had that big interception in overtime, but Emmanuel Davis showed up, and what a tremendous player that this guy is. And for the Pirates fans out there, at the beginning of the year, ECU on its 2 deep had 1 redshirt freshman, but due to injuries, there are now 8 to 9 redshirt freshmen that are on that 2 deep. There are a lot of young players that are getting experience. Without question, Skip Holtz has the pulse of this program, and it is getting better. East Carolina is a competitive football team.
Our Wrangler 5-star play of the game. Is there any question what the Wrangler 5-star play of the game is? The game-winning field goal from Ben Hartman.
Great job by Hartman to redeem himself. He missed the field goal at the end of regulation, but great job staying heady, staying poised, and digging deep into his joke book to find whatever it took to make it when it counted. This ECU team desperately needed this win, and they deserved it.
The SEC postgame show is coming up next. Ben Hartman is the hero with the game-winning kick. 1916, East Carolina wins it in overtime. Remember, coming up next, it is the SEC postgame show presented by Geico. For the latest scores, news, highlights, and analysis, log on to CBSSports.com/CBS College. For Aaron Taylor, producer Sellers Shai, director Jim Cornell, statistician Don Bijola, and our entire CBS College Sports crew, I'm Carter Blackburn. Ben Hartman's game-winning kick wins it in OT, 1916. This has been a presentation of CBS College Sports, the pulse of college sports.